What is going good, everyone? Sorry, my lights are going like crazy. Let me change that. There we go. Welcome to our next episode of MNC Hoops. Sorry, we're a little delayed on getting started. About 30 minutes before the show started, my 55-gallon fishbowl tanks decided to start a leak and had to get rid of that thing. So we've got the fish transported to a smaller tank and the big tank out. No fish were harmed in the moving of this tank. So, yeah, and my floor is not destroyed, we don't think yet anyway. So that's what I've been dealing with. But you know what? That's life, I guess. So before we get going any further, CJ, Nick, of course, glad you're on the show. And how you guys doing today?
Doing fantastic, man. It's been a great weekend of basketball, man, from college to the NBA, man. It's just been magnificent, man. I know that a lot of people are very excited about the Super Bowl coming up, man. But there was still some good hoops, man. But besides that, I'm doing really well. I'm glad to be back on.
Sir, man, really good weekend, really good week. Just was watching Miami and the Clippers probably like an hour ago. Pretty solid game between both teams.
Really
couple games on right now too. Trailblazers and the Nuggets. Nick just told me on NBA TV. Timberwolves wrapping up a W, about to get a W. So, yeah, it's a pretty good week in the league. All-Star game is right around the corner. Trade deadline is, I believe, this Thursday coming up. So it's going to be a good time of basketball.
A lot of talk about trades going on in the weeks, of course, like you said, the weeks to come. A lot of different things are popping up, so it could be interesting what's going to go on there. And we'll get into some of the talk today, of course, possibly who may have to be sellers or blow it up on one of my teams that I want to talk about possibly a little bit we'll get to. But let's go ahead and dive into this. Like I said, we're 2 minutes in. We're at almost 9:30 p.m. my time, so we're going to have to push through some of these topics here. So what we got up first, let me go ahead and bring it up here. And
while he's doing that, man, SeatGeek is a proud sponsor of MNC Hoops. Make sure to use code MNC Hoops for $20 off your first purchase. There's a lot of upcoming events, Super Bowl. If the tickets are still available, they might be up for resale. Who knows? NBA All-Star Weekend. Next month comes March Madness. So it'll definitely get ahead of the curve, you know what I'm saying, with those events. And make sure to save a little bit of money.
Man, it's hard to believe March Madness is really that close. February flew, did it not?
I mean, we're still in. You mean January?
Or January flew by. Yes, there we go.
Yeah, March Madness right around the corner. Fast.
That is true. We are in the second month of 2024. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so the first topic we got pulled up here is Joel Embiid has been diagnosed with a torn meniscus, if I say that correctly. Of course, from NBA Central on X, Joel Embiid's been diagnosed with a displaced meniscus flap in his left knee, and he is considering surgery. So his chances, as it goes on to say, is pretty much his MVP repeats are pretty much over. CJ, what do you think this means going forward for Philly? If he has to have surgery, if he may not, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it just depends on, how bad the tear is. I think if it's if it's a crazy tear, then I think definitely he should go and get the surgery. Meniscus on average is usually around like 4 to 6 weeks, but again, that's just like probably partial tear. So it really just depends on how bad it is. It's just tough. It's just tough for Embiid, tough for Sixer fans. He was having a career high in all categories: points, rebounds, and assists. Obviously, we talked about the 70-point game he had last week, and how he completely dominated in that game against the Spurs. And just on a tear he was on, him and Maxey playing some really good basketball. They were really holding down that third seed for a while up until the injury started to pile up for him. But it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It really is. I just think for the Sixers' sake, if it's a possibility he could come back for the postseason, I think that's the best case scenario. And Maxey went crazy the other night. Had a 50-point game on Thursday against Utah. In Embiid's absence, they're going to need some guys to step up. Tobias Harris is another guy definitely I've been looking at. He's been someone that doesn't get. I mean, he gets criticized here and there, but for someone with that type of contract, with the expectations he's had over the last 3 years, since he's been a Sixer for, I think this is year 5 since he's been a Philadelphia 76er. So he hasn't really got the type of criticism. Now he's been a third option, fourth option. He's kind of moving back and forth because of the guys that they brought in over the last few years. But he definitely needs to step up. We know what Maxey is going to bring to the table, even at his age and being so young. But a guy like Tobias Harris is going to have to play well. Kelly Oubre, before that weird situation occurred, he was playing some really good basketball. And I think this is probably a good time for them to potentially make a move at the trade deadline. I mean, why not? Get some security, get a guy that can score, do a multitude of things, and then when Embiid does come back, it's not a big burden on him to at least do everything. We know what he has to do if they want to get to their goal, but you bring in the extra piece, extra score, it definitely doesn't hurt. So I think the Sixers, they got a lot of questions they need to answer fast, and of course, more importantly, hopefully Joel Embiid is good. Hopefully he could at least get around to close to 100%, when it's playoff time.
I agree. This is definitely a big blow for Philly, and hopefully it's not anything too serious, because I know that we've been on record clowning the Sixers a lot, over the past few years. Them not being able to get to the conference finals and everything. But I was looking at the team this year. Getting rid of James Harden. Getting some key pieces to surround Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. And I was looking at them early in the season. I was like, man, like this team can potentially make a deep run in the playoffs. Maybe conference finals, maybe NBA finals. Who knows? But it's just another crazy situation that happened. Embiid was playing monstrous basketball. Obviously, the 70-point game, but even just besides that, showing the world why he was in contention for another MVP award. So now, with the 65-game rule, he's definitely not going to be eligible now. But at the end of the day, that's not, to me. I don't think that should be important. I mean, of course, those type of accolades are important, but the main focus is to be healthy by the playoffs, and I think that should be the main focus of Embiid, and I think that should be the main focus of the Sixers organization as a whole. So if they can get him by the playoffs and have him ready to go, that's going to be the huge piece. But in his absence, I mean, we already just saw Tyrese Maxey put a 50-piece against Utah on Thursday. So not saying that he's going to keep having those type of performances, but he's going to have to elevate his scoring. He's going to have to average around the 20-25 points a game to be able to keep them afloat, especially in a tough Eastern Conference where we see a lot of young teams on the rise, like Orlando, like Indiana, like some of the other teams. So it's going to be very, very important to see if they can stay afloat. But as far as for Embiid, I hope that it's not too serious. Like I said, he was having another great career season, and the main focus should be to just be ready for the playoffs. So if he can come back like late March, maybe early April, right before the playoffs, get a feel for the game right before the playoffs, that'd be big for them. But it's going to be really interesting to see over the next month, where Philly is as a team as a whole.
We won't stay on the topic too much longer because, like I said, we've got to get through this. But what are, real quick, if y'all can think of it, who would be a guy that you may think that they may try to go for as far as trade if he has the surgery and out? Because if he's out 4 weeks or 4 months, he's out. Did you say 4 months or 4 weeks on the surgery?
He said 4 to 6 weeks, wasn't
it? Yeah,
weeks.
4 to 6.
Okay. Much better.
Probably closer to the 6 weeks than the 4. But
okay. So we're looking after probably a little mid-March, if not 1st of April.
Yeah, probably first round, like right into that first round of the playoffs. Push come to shove, just to be on the safe side. Obviously, this is the guy with the long concerns.
So who's someone you think that they could maybe make a push for to get to take some of the burden, or even a big guy that they may be on?
Are there even any elite scorers on the market right now? I mean, I know trade deadline is this Thursday, but I don't know if there's anybody on the market right now.
Not at a big.
A big man? Big. Yeah, well, I mean, that's clip. I mean, Paul Reed's solid. He's solid. Good. He's not like the greatest backup big, but when he's out there, he does contribute. He does do some solid things.
They still got what's his name? Mo Bamba, don't they?
Mo Bamba, yeah. Mo Bamba has some minutes here and there as well. I mean, this is a guy. I thought when he got drafted, I thought he was going to. Yeah.
He had the song and everything.
Had the song, yeah, exactly. And we just know him for that more so than his game. He's from Harlem too. I thought he was going to kick up. From a score standpoint, outside of from like a guard or something, like Clarkson, The Nets got a multitude of guys, but it looks like they're being stingy. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but they want to give up. I mean, they're asking for an arm and a leg for role players. So I think teams on there's a couple of those players on in Brooklyn. Yeah, Clarkson. I don't know what Utah's gonna do. We talked about that. So there's definitely some guys out there that could kind of fill that void until Embiid comes back. It's just a matter of what a deal would look like, especially as we get closer to the deadline.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to our next injury here. Of course, we all know that Zach LaVine is out for the season. Of course, that may be one of the people or one of the teams that is interesting in some different trades going on, possibly moving forward. Let's see here. Try to get it blown up. This is from Bleacher Report. Zach LaVine will undergo surgery on his right foot and will miss the remainder of or the rest of the season, it says.
I think we got a bookmark tweet of one of our hosts tweeted something about that too. You want to check that out?
Yeah.
One of our hosts.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if it was me. I don't even remember. Did I tweet something?
I just happened to come across that as I was.
Oh no, was it me? Oh yeah, I see it here. Yes, definitely. I mean,
what is
pull
that
up, man?
Let's see here. I got to get it to where it doesn't show the other topics going on. I didn't know you bookmarked that, man.
Yeah, I just happened to see it when I was going through the topics.
Let me do it this way. This may help us out here. Okay, there. Yes, you can see a beautiful host there. Put LaVine out for season. Blow it up, Bulls, please. I mean, is it not time? We've said this for years. Sorry, see, Nick, I got your face hidden there. Let me switch it over.
Cool. Well, I mean, basically what I was saying is that it's been time even before the injury. So now you lost your backcourt. I mean, obviously you didn't have Lonzo Ball all year, but now you don't have Zach LaVine for the rest of the season as well. So
is it time?
It's been time.
Okay.
I believe so. I mean, another name I didn't even mention.
That's a guy. DeRozan could go to Philly. That could be good.
I mean, again, it really comes down to what Chicago will be asking for. Of course, his value is going to be much higher because, again, everybody thinks they're going to blow it up, and so they're going to ask for a lot. So it's that 3 first-round picks, 2 first-round picks in the second. I mean, I probably around 2, I would say, at minimum, and then probably a player. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's time. I agree. Caruso has also been a guy that's been talked about that could potentially be on the move. It's just unfortunate. I mean, just look at his time in Chicago. I mean, outside of a couple years where it shows some flashes where he could have been the guy, but he's either hurt or inconsistent to where he's a talented player. He's a scorer. He can do a multitude of things on the court, but he's not a franchise guy. I mean, that's what we've learned since he's been a Chicago Bull. And it's just what it is. It's just he's still a young player, so it's not to say he'll never become that. But as it stands today, that's just not what he is. And unfortunately,
how old is he?
I believe he's 26.
Something like that.
I feel like that's it, but I feel like he's been in the NBA for like 20 years.
Well, he played in Minnesota for like 3-4 years, I think, before he went to Chicago. I think.
No,
well, I mean, he played there for a while.
I think he played in Minnesota for what, 2 years, maybe 1.5, maybe.
I'm gonna say because what year was that when he was in the dunk contest? That was before Chicago.
That was 2016.
Okay, so he's been in for a minute now.
He was there for because that was the Butler trade. So I want to say 3 years. Yeah, I think he's probably there for like 3 years in Minnesota. So listen, man, it's just unfortunate what's going on in Chicago. They obviously had some high hopes, and they're just
2014, 2015 is when he started with Minnesota for 3 years.
3 years. So yeah, okay. So
he's been there for a decade now?
Yeah, that's insane.
Jeez.
It feels like it to me, but carry on. Sorry.
No,
it's just it's definitely time. There was some reports about him potentially being a Detroit Piston, which I mean,
yeah, that's nasty.
I don't know how that would have really. I mean, in a way, it could have helped them next year, but now with this injury, I mean, obviously that deal is off the table as it should be. Yeah, you have to just try to get as many picks as possible, rebuild, restart. I'd keep Kobe White. That'd probably be the only player I'd keep, and then everybody else, see ya.
Is Kobe White a person you can build around though?
Oh,
No.
not necessarily. I mean, he's not. He's not a one or a two, but he has improved since he has a career year. So what can they do? They could sell high, right, and then try to get anything the highest bid possible for him because he is having a great year, or they could keep him because he's still a younger player to where he could be a solid piece for them going forward. So that you saw what happened.
As long as he's cheap, keep him.
Yeah. Well, for now, I think he has a contract coming up. So that's what I'm saying. That's those are questions that these the Bulls front office is going to have to figure out. I think they should just get rid of everybody. I think get rid of everybody, start fresh, get a highly touted draft pick because ultimately that's what they've done, and that when they've been successful, that's what they've done. They've been the draft picks. Those have been draft Jordan, Rose. I mean, just obviously over the last 30 years or so, those were drafted players by the Chicago Bulls, and then they built around those guys. So that's going to be they try to do a trade and build with LaVine and DeRozan and things like that, and it didn't work. It was unsuccessful. So I think it's time to go back to what they do best.
So Nick, I want to ask you: is LaVine going to be a Bull next year?
I don't know. I would hope not. I'm ready for them to just get rid of everybody, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he's still there. I mean, LaVine still has pretty good value. I'm not gonna discredit him and say that he's a bad player. I think he's a really great player. Now, is he a guy that you would want to build your franchise around? I would probably say no, especially at this stage in his career. But I feel like if you are to try to make a trade for him, then I would definitely make it happen. I mean, we talked about Sacramento in the past. We talked about I think somebody mentioned the Knicks. I don't know who mentioned the Knicks, but I don't see that happening.
Wasn't me.
That was you? Oh, okay.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Oh, it wasn't you. Oh, okay. But I mean, I think at this stage in his career, LaVine could really thrive as a second option. And I think we thought that he could be a number one option when that team had formed together. Him, DeMar, Lonzo Ball, and those guys. But obviously, we saw in that first year how great DeMar DeRozan was. He was an MVP candidate for most of the season. And it just never really worked out for LaVine. So, I mean, I'm just going to keep repeating myself, man. I think it's just time for the Bulls to blow it up. I know that some people may take that offensive or whatever, but I mean, it's just been that time. This whole situation just never worked out. Please excuse my roommate from over there crying.
Did you say crying?
My bad, laughing, not crying, laughing, just laughing.
My roommate's crying, man. Carry on.
But what was I saying? Oh yeah, about LaVine. I mean, this whole situation has never worked out. They acquired these guys in 2021. Obviously, the Lonzo injury was something that nobody expected to happen. I mean, we all knew that he had an injury history before that, but we never expected for him to have like a career changing injury, which is crazy. But it just never worked out. And I think that the Bulls front office, they need to accept that. I think the players need to accept that. It's just time to move on. Try to find a way to get some first round picks and second round picks, and just try to rebuild from there if you can.
Okay, here's my scenario. Zach LaVine needs to go to Golden State and be a fresher Klay Thompson.
Yeah, I like that.
Not bad.
I mean, it'd have to be next year.
I was saying, what's that going to look like?
And they'd have to get rid of Klay.
Get rid of Chris Paul. Get rid of Klay. Let them go to the Bulls and let them buy out or try to move them even more to get more picks. Because let's be honest, this year, Steph Curry is on an island by himself on that team. Literally. He doesn't have a duo at all.
Bro, he dropped 60 last night and they lost.
Yes. There's a graphic I started to bookmark to bring up here, and it talked about the different players that the duos that they all had. And then you had Steph Curry by himself. The duo that they mocked on it, they had Steph with 60. Then, like, everyone they had, like it was Giannis and Dame, what they had together, and I can't remember the other two together. Then it had Steph by himself, and then at the bottom it had Klay Thompson with 10 points, and it was like they averaged 70 together. Like come on. But anyways, move off of Klay, move off of Chris Paul, which was dumb anyways. Let them go somewhere where they can actually, because right now, I mean, honestly, Chris Paul wouldn't be a bad person to try to help the Bulls out because they were missing ball for the past 2 years. That would be a lead point guard, but he's not going to stay there. He's searching for rings. He's not for rebuilds.
Right.
Let Klay to go wherever he is. Actually, they both go for the Bulls, probably a first-round pick, and the Bulls resell those guys and try to flip them as possible, quick as possible. And LaVine is waiting to get re-energized for next year, or re-healed, basically, is what I'm trying to say, heal up for next year. I actually think that would be good for everyone, really.
Yeah, I think so. And then I'll throw another prediction in there. I think Lonzo, when they get rid of Lonzo, I think he goes and teams up with his brother in Charlotte. And I think they do the Ball brothers. They need some type of – they just need something fresh over there because right now it's kind of just it's like high school right there. It's like the Charlotte High School University. Like,
what was the name of their shoes?
It's like grade school over there, man. So they definitely need some veteran leadership over there. And, if Lonzo does come back, 100%, like we hope he does come back, I think him teaming up with his brother motivating him. I think that could definitely potentially, help that franchise a little bit. You need some life. Him, Brandon Miller, Ball brothers probably move off Bridges just because not talent-wise, but just got a lot of baggage. So we'll see what happens. But I think we all agree here, 3 for 3 this time.
What was that shoe brand that they started?
BBB, Big Baller Brand.
Yeah. Big Baller Brand. Okay, I was saying Big Brother Brand. I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Apparently, I don't know if it's according to Lonzo, but that people say that plays a role in why his injuries are just so bad because the product of the shoe. It's just crazy.
I mean, it's possible. He always had that leg sleeve. I thought it was just aesthetics, but he was always used to rock that leg sleeve on his left knee. But that tends to be the knee that's giving him problems. So I don't know. And also, he used to practice on the concrete. That's a problem. Like that's not. I mean, listen. I know it's old school, but you should not be, training on concrete. That's terrible for your knees. And for him to already have knee problems at 25 years old, it's wild.
It's crazy.
Someone else who was a problem in their return to DC was Bradley Beal, dropping 43 points in his return to DC. Did anybody catch this by chance? Because stat-wise, it looked good. Let me see if I can get this blown up so I can read it. Hoop Central, Bradley Beal today, 43 points, 6 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 steals, 75% field goal, 4 for 5 from 3, and 7 from the line. He looked happy in that picture right there. Of course, that's not the uniforms they used, I don't think, today. I think they had their white uniforms today. But looks good for the Suns if he can keep this up. Absolutely. Of course, you don't even have to answer that for me. I know that. And it was good to see him welcome back home as well and really have an outstanding game. Nick, what do you think about this? Could this moving forward be something we see and continue?
I didn't get a chance to watch the game, but this is good. I mean, I'm sure every former player wants to go out there and have a monster game against a former team. We saw Dame have a pretty good game this past Wednesday going in his return to Portland. Fortunately, they ended up losing that game. So for Brad to have a monster performance like this, I think this is good for him and the team. It's definitely good for his confidence. Because obviously, let's just be real. Phoenix is still. They've had great moments, but they're still trying to find their footing in the Western Conference as true contenders. So I think that this is a really big obviously they're going up against the Wizards who are garbage, but this is a good momentum booster for the team. Just being able to come into this situation and just being able to ball out the way that they did, especially after losing on Friday to Atlanta, which was crazy. But I'm happy for Bill. This is a strong performance as a whole. Phoenix is just, I don't know. I've been saying that Phoenix needs a point guard, but then again, I'm like, maybe they don't because, it seems like this whole situation is working with Beal, Devin Booker, and then KD, as your main 3 guys. But at the end of the day, it's still February. We still got another 2 months to the playoffs come around. So there's still like another 30, 40 games left to go for a lot of these teams. So, it's just a good opportunity to just keep improving. So, this is another great performance from the Suns and Beal, and let's see if they can continue that momentum moving forward.
It's a great game. Obviously, it's a lot of emotions in this game. He was a Wizard for I think 11 years, something like that. So, obviously so much history he's had, some highs, lows, won a scoring title, and DC has some really good seasons there. It's just okay. You had 43, great. What are you gonna do after this? Are you gonna build off this? Is this type of game something that's going to propel not just himself but also the team into a place where we really look at them as true title contenders? Do I think they have an opportunity to beat a couple teams 4 out of 7? Yes, but I would pick the Clippers. I would pick the Nuggets if they were to match up against those two teams. Minnesota would be interesting. It'd be interesting. I'd probably favor Phoenix in that one just because they have I trust those players that they have in the playoffs as opposed to Cat and Gobert and things like that. So they're right there, but I still feel like KD, Book, and Beal, they have to prioritize defense. They have to prioritize defense. They're not winning anything if those guys don't commit on the defensive end. And looking at that Hawks game, like Nick just talked about, defense was disgusting. There's a YouTube channel out there called Film Sessions. He breaks down all the defensive mistakes from teams when they lose, and it was bad. It was bad watching those guys on defense. Just the lack of effort. That's really all it is, because they all have the athleticism. Because when they go on the other side of the court, they want to put the ball in the basket. All that energy is there. So you want to be a champion, something that Book and Beal have not been. You got to commit on the defensive end. You got to bring it on both ends. It's kind of sad. We live in an era now where guys can score for days, but they don't really care about being two-way players. It's just unfortunate. That's what they have to do. So, yeah, it's just cool. Book had 40-point games. KD's had 40-point games throughout the season. This is what I expect from that. They're going to win games like that, but they got to be able to get stops. In the playoffs, you got to get stops. Yes, they have guys that could score and light it up in the half court. They have 3 guys. There's not a lot of teams that can say that. But again, I'm not the biggest fan of Nurkic at the 5 spot. He's not a great pick and roll defender. He's not a great shot blocker. So you're kind of tied there in terms of having that type of elite presence in the middle. So I'm saying the perimeter defense from these 3 guys have to be at a higher level, because you don't have that guy back there you can rely on the alter shots. So, great, like I said, great game from Beal. Definitely his best game as a Phoenix Sun. And of course, ironically, it's against his former team. But how do they build off that? That's really the question for me, man, because they've been to the finals already. They brought in KD. Yeah, then they bring in Beal. So it's just like this is championship window here. It's really no excuses. There's really no excuses for this team. They have to at least have to have a competitive second round or make a conference finals appearance. Like, that has to be their ceiling for the squad if they're all healthy. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm not really good. I already know they all can score. That's cool, but it's the other factors.
Let me ask y'all this real quick. Do y'all think that this team right now is beating the Clippers in a 7-game series? Both teams healthy.
No, I said earlier. I said I'm taking Clippers. I'm taking the Clippers. Yeah, I would take the Clippers. And
obviously, we think that they can. They have the potential with all the star power that they have. But Clippers are right there playing well right now. I think the Clippers in the past 10 games are 8-2, and of course the Suns are 7-3 and lose to Atlanta, who is an offensive team, like you're saying. Honestly, CJ, while you were talking, I didn't know if you was talking about my Kentucky Wildcats or the Phoenix Suns. When it comes to scoring, we can score against anybody, but when it comes to defense, we can't even like catch a cold really as far as what's going on out there.
Y'all couldn't do nothing against Tennessee last night.
No, we couldn't, and it was simple. It really reminded me of Billy Donovan's offense, and I even put that on X that he used to big time have that. It was Al Horford, I think, would set the big pick at almost at the midcourt, half court. And it would be downhill for the point guard and playing catch up. And Tennessee was running that. And I'm like, why are we picking the man-to-man, one person up full court and getting a pick so far back there and letting them run downhill on us to attack? It's 5-on-4 basically, when you could just come back and pick them up half court. But anyways, I'm not the coach. I'm the couch coach. So, yeah, Phoenix Suns has got to take ownership of that defensive side at some point. But this is kind of what the NBA is during the season. Score as much as you want. And then when it gets to playoffs, now you have to learn something else totally different. So I definitely do think that they have the potential to even win the ring, long less the Clippers. But it's the potential. We've got to see it put together for a longevity of at least a month or something. Like we've got the Cavaliers, which we'll talk about in a little bit, like they've won 13 of their last 14 games. We've not seen a stretch of that in any form with the Suns. And like you've got to have some type of stretch where you are the most dominant teams there for a while. And that's what scares me about the Suns is you don't see this constantly. That's my biggest fear.
Yeah, I agree. And, you just break those three teams down between Phoenix, Denver, and Los Angeles, right? Okay, let's look at the head coaches. Who would you go with first? Ty Lue, right? Second for me would be Michael Malone. And all three guys have championships, right? So, it's a fair discussion. Look at the best player. Rank the best players.
I mean, Jokic has to be.
I'll go Jokic 1. And then, could go Kawhi. You could go Kawhi. You could go KD at 2.
It's a toss-up.
It's a toss-up. And then Paul George and Book, to me, that's a toss-up as well. Because, again, even though
Paul George is smooth. Like, they showed a highlight of film today I seen on X as well. Man, his handles get overlooked a lot. And he's just flat-out smooth on offense.
Yeah. I mean, and so is Booker. And so is Booker, right? And they kind of have a little back. They kind of have Booker a little back.
Is nice.
Yeah, but they're both cold on offense for sure. They're elite scorers.
Now, I'm only saying that because this past Monday I went back to watch some of his games. Like he had that 60-point game against Indiana. He had like a 50-point game against New Orleans, and I was like, bro, like this man's shot creation in the mid range is insane.
It's elite. He's elite, bro. But I just think from a team perspective, I'm going with the Clippers and I'm going with the Nuggets. We already saw what the Nuggets did last year, and the way the Clippers are playing, I mean, it's tough to stop them. And we said, listen, what did they need? They needed a point guard, and that's Harden. I mean, it's this perfect situation for Harden because he doesn't have to take the big shots. He doesn't have to get the big stops. You got two other players that do that for you, and PG and Kawhi. All he got to do is just do his thing here and there, and then dot those guys up. I mean, it's like
he's a lot closer to Vegas too.
I mean, and he's also right there in LA. That's where he's from. So
that's right.
Yeah, so it's a perfect scenario for Harden. He could just kind of do his thing and then dot up those guys when necessary. And then again,
on top of that, you got Russ coming off the bench who can take the playmaking role as well.
Exactly. So that's why I favor those two teams over Phoenix, just because of depth, coaching, and I mean you got to go with chemistry and experience because like Michael said, at the first half of the season, they all three of those guys weren't playing together. They're just now starting to get games underneath their belt, which is good because this is the second half of the season and you want to have a good run before the playoffs. So we'll see. But again, that's probably the hierarchy for me in the West. And I know we got OKC and Minnesota up there, but talent, coaching. I mean, those to me, those are the top three.
Well, we've seen it. We've seen the Suns there. We've seen the Nuggets, obviously, and the Clippers. We know them. Different teams, we've seen them there. This is just trying to mold it together on one team now. So it's no disrespect to the Thunder or even the Timberwolves, who I usually do. It's just we've not seen it yet, so we can't say we expect it. So I think they have the ability to, no lie, of course. But my thing that I'm kind of happy as far as leaning towards the Suns is the only team that played the Nuggets well was the Suns. I think they won 2 games against them of any team last year in the playoffs. And now we added Bill. So we'll see if that's able to help move forward. Again, I don't think there's anyone that's really truly a front runner that's big time. I think the West is going to be very close with those 3 teams for sure. And just like you said, with the Thunder and the Timberwolves in the background talking too. So the West from here on out is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
I'll say this too. I think Denver has a much better chance of winning a chip than they did last year. And I had some questions, when he lost guys like Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, but like Reggie Jackson coming off the bench has been playing great basketball. What's his name? Peyton Watson has been playing tremendous basketball as well. Even DeAndre Jordan off the bench, I know that he has his struggles defensively, but he's a great lob threat, on the team. He's a great rim runner. So, he's been pretty decent as well. So their supporting cast, and I'm not trying to compare these guys to Bruce Brown or anything, but their supporting cast is just as good, in my opinion, or even better than it may have been last year, honestly. Oh, yeah, and they still have a guy like Christian Brown as well.
Christian Brown, yeah. I think they probably make a move, too, at the deadline, just to solidify everything.
All right, so players dislike the 65-game rule. Before we have a clip on this, I just kind of want to ask you guys, what's your all's opinion on it real quick? And we'll be quick, and then we'll get to the clip.
I can understand why people are upset about it, because at the end of the day, when you're having a great season and then, of course, no injuries do get in the way, I can understand it from that perspective. But we got to understand why they implemented this rule, which is load management. I mean, you got guys who are sitting out 2 nights a week or whatever it is. And I get it, they may be putting up good numbers while they're doing it. But, it's hard to do that. It's like, for instance, like you can't win the MVP award, or you can't be eligible to win the MVP award if you average around 30, 31 a game, but you only play like 52 games. You know what I'm saying? You missed 30 games. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand it, and I know that, there's been a lot of discourse around, obviously Embiid, who is now going to be out for a significant time with his injury. Tyrese Halliburton was out for a pretty good amount of time as well. And I know that, it's not just the MVP. It's first team, second team, third team All NBA, and with those guys being able to be eligible for that and be able to win those awards, that does help them, get more money in afterwards. But at the end of the day, availability is the best ability. So if you're available, and you're able to play more than half the games or even the majority of the games, and you're still having a good season, then that's part of the reason why you should be eligible for those awards. But I don't know, like you can't just, I can understand why players are mad, because injuries are part of the game, but also, you still have to be out there on the court, and just being able to play 65 plus games on throughout the season. You can't miss like 30 plus games, 25 plus games, and then still expect to win MVP awards. I get it. You may have averaged good numbers while you're on the court, but you're also not available for most nights as well.
Yeah, I just don't know why what they're so upset about. I mean, one, you signed off on this in the collective bargain agreement. So again, these players, they cry, they complain, but before everything,
do you think that they read them?
And that goes right to my point, right? It's like, this is what I'm saying. Like you want to complain about certain things and act like you had no say in whatsoever to change it or make any amendments or anything. You wanted that revenue share. That's what you cared about more than anything. You wanted that revenue share 50-50. I think it's like 52-48 or something like that. Or it's close, like not obviously not 50-50 because the owners should make more money because they own the team. But it's damn near 50-50. I would say better than most leagues ever, like in all across the world. So they want that share. Cool. They play a big factor in, why the NBA is popular. But there's also other things that they implemented in there, and they let the load management stuff and the minute restrictions, and they let that stuff slide throughout the entirety of up until the end of the CBA. And then when the new CBA came across, they put that deal in place. So if that was a big deal for you back then, you should have been more vocal on the podcast and things like that to make it known. And then also just from a perspective of, like Nick said, that's really where it started. It's unfortunate guys like Embiid and Halliburton, or more so Embiid because Halliburton is back, but they have to kind of be the you're not going to benefit from that because they're not going to get to that 65. But they really wouldn't. If Embiid missed that much time, regardless of this rule, he wouldn't get the accolades anyway because people would say he just missed the amount. He just missed the amount of games. So it's like, what do we like? Again, that's what I'm saying. Like, what are you really mad about? Like, it's just sad. Just show up to work. Everybody else does. Everybody else in the people that show up to the games to watch you play. How do you think they able to pay for those tickets? They go to work. So, it's crazy that to me, it's really crazy that we're having the conversation. Halliburton called it stupid. But it's like, these guys, they're a brotherhood. It's like they're so against calling each other out. In terms of things like that, they kind of stick together, which, I mean, it's okay. But my thing is, like, you still got to be able to think for yourself. And whoever is representing them from the NBA PA, that's who you should be mad about first and foremost. That's the person representing you. So if it's really a concern, if you really feel a certain way about that, those are discussions you need to have with that person. So don't get mad at the owners. Get mad at your representation. Get mad at the people that's there in those meetings with Commissioner Silver, with people representing the owners as well. That's what you should be upset about. More importantly, like, so no one feels bad. The common person does not feel bad for you. I mean, you're bringing in a boatload of money, regardless. So yeah, like if it's that big of an issue, be at the front line of those meetings and state your case and make your voice heard. Don't come after the fact and cry and complain when everything's already collectively bargained. That's my take on it.
My only thing, and I'll be quick on it, is 65 game rule. Technically, that is 79%. So that's playing in 80% of your season. Let me pull that down just a little bit. Out of 52 in my work career, 52 weeks, 5 days a week, that's 260 days that I have to work, give or take a few for holidays. If I were to miss, well, I get 5 days for vacation, a few sick days as well. So we'll say 250 days I have to be at work. If I don't show up for 70% of those days, my butt's fired. Like, I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, I know it's different. It's apples and oranges on this. But in what other line of business are we talking about that we can't show up for 80% of what you're being paid to do? Like, if you're not fine with this rule, and we'll get into this clip and it may shine a little bit more light than what we got here. But, like, if you're not okay with this, then, like, okay, that's fine. We can take this away. But for every game that you aren't playing at, you shouldn't be paid because you're not doing anything. Like, do we want to get to there with that, or is that asking too much? But to me, if you can miss as many games as you want because of load management and still make your full contract, that's kind of a problem in my eye.
Yeah.
But I'll go ahead and bring up this clip. Let me bring us over here with these three here. Here we go. And see if I got this queued up here. I think I got it muted. Nope, I don't. Here we go.
Joel playing tonight felt very much so because of the 65-game limit. Well, I think it's actually quite bullshit. Guys didn't face those rules before, but those same all-NBA teams, those same MVP awards lists, Defensive Player of the Year, those lists are the same. I once lost a Defensive Player of the Year award to Kawhi Leonard, and I think he played 51 games. In turn, you get Joel, who comes out there tonight, and he forces it. And Freak played with him and J.K. diving for the ball, but maybe it's not as bad if the knee isn't already banged up. I don't really bang with it. And now we got one of our premier faces in this league, the MVP of our league, possibly hurt for an extended period of time because he's forcing it.
I can understand his point. That's crazy. I didn't even catch that clip, but I can understand his point. But I get it when he talks about how the guys that are passing have to go through that. But they played 82 games. Michael Jordan played 82 games in the regular season. Like Kobe Bryant played 82 games. I think I saw a stat where Karl Malone only missed like 6 games throughout his 18, 19-year career. So it's like a lot of these guys, they were playing. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody was sitting out because, I'm sore, or, the front office, the training staff, they don't want me to play. Like, no, guys went and played every single night. Like, that's why I don't understand, like, why these guys want a special treatment, in my opinion. It's like even a few years ago, I remember, I don't remember if it actually went down, but I swore somebody wanted to start a petition of not having 82 games in the regular season anymore. And I'm like, why? Like, why now all of a sudden? Why that all of a sudden? Like, you know what I'm saying? This is, like, we've had 82 games in the NBA season since God knows how long. And, I mean, I know we had a few years, like, even the COVID year, we had 72 games, and even the Locker year, we had 66 games. So that's a reason. But besides that, we've had 82 games in the regular season, and a lot of the premier faces of the NBA were available every single night. So that's why the rule was never implemented back then. It's different now, 20, 30 plus years later, where we have a lot of star players who are missing. And it's not even just like certain games. It's like, a lot of guys, they're missing road games too. And people come out to see these guys. They come out to see LeBron. They come out to see Kawhi. They come out to see Kevin Durant, a lot of these guys. And if they're going to pay their hard-earned money to come to a game, they want to see those star players. So, I'm a fan of the rule. I know that people are upset about it, but I think it's pretty fair for these guys to at least play, like Michael said, 80% of the season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Like I agree, and he sits there and he says why he's upset, but he doesn't talk about why it's in place in the first place. That's all I've seen them do. Right? They talked about how they don't like the rule. It's BS, stupid. Okay, why was the rule implemented in the first place? And it goes right back to what I said before. If that was such a big deal to you, where was the noise when it was being implemented? Like, where was that? Where were you on the podcast? I mean, all these guys have podcasts now. This is not 40 years ago where you had to go through reporters in the newspaper to get your point across. All you got to do is do exactly what we're doing.
Or hell, we got smartphones.
Exactly.
Use your phone and then post it.
Go right in your phone, upload it on whatever social media app you use, and make it known. Then, now you want to wait till the season it goes down. Of course, things are going to happen throughout the season. Of course, it's just a part of life. And it's unfortunate what happened to Embiid. If he felt like he was forcing it, from the Sixers standpoint, I think that's a problem for Philadelphia, because if they really examined his knee and felt like he couldn't go out there and perform at the highest level, he should not have been out there. Now, of course, maybe for him, he wanted to play. He could, kind of, in a sense, lie and say, "Oh, it's not that bad. I could play on it. Make it seem like you're good. Go out there and play." We've seen players do that all the time. And then, unfortunately, he aggravated it more to where now he's going to miss time. But that's not really the discussion here. It's not about Embiid, right? Like, that's a legitimate injury that we see that's a problem. And I know in a way it stemmed from that because we thought he was ducking Jokic but we didn't know. I didn't know. No one knew it was that bad, right? We just looked at how he never went up against Jokic in Denver, and it was just weird. And then you're getting reports saying that right after that he couldn't jump. Like, you can't jump, you shouldn't be out. Like, period, you shouldn't be out there. He should never played in that game against the Warriors. That was the report before the Golden State game, was that he couldn't even jump. Like, what? You can't jump? Then yeah, you definitely shouldn't be playing at all. So it's an unfortunate situation for Embiid and for guys that get hurt, legitimately get hurt, but they have no one to blame but themselves. That's it. You can't blame the owners because you had an opportunity to say this is wrong and you didn't do it. Plain and simple.
Yeah, all I'm going to really say on it is, if he was that bad hurt, he shouldn't have played. And for the medical, couldn't speak there, the medical team to okay it, there had to been some kind of like diagnose, but like assessment, there we go, of how he was feeling before the game started, testing the knee out. And the coach, staff, whatever, should have said, okay, no, we're not going to let you play because of the way that you are. Now, to me, we're using this one point to go against this rule. Okay, yeah, he probably shouldn't have played. He got hurt because he played. We don't know if he was playing because of the 65 rule. There's been so many people play because they're 80% healthy and 20% hurt, and they should be playing. So, I mean, we're using this incident to combat what we don't want, in my opinion. It's kind of how it feels. Hey, he got hurt because he shouldn't have played, so we're going to use this to attack the 65-game rule. Guys, people should be playing more when they're not playing right now, and that's just the bottom line. If there's no fans, there's no league. So if you can't be present for the games for the fans, then they won't be no fans. And then if there's no fans, there's no games. So here's the thing. Play when you're healthy. Play when you can play. Not fully healthy, because let's be honest, we all don't go to work fully healthy all the time. play to your most capability. And if you think that it's borderline that you could get hurt, okay, you got sick days, not low management days. Listen, you've got, 17 games that you cannot play in and still be okay, right? 65 plus 17 is 82, right? So you got 17 games that you do not have to play in. That's a lot of games. So, again, I feel like we're using this incident to justify what we want in our rule. And that's just my opinion.
Hang on, just real quick. So I don't know why, but I wanted to look up Nikola Jokic's stats because I know that he's always a guy that's been available. I know people will get on to him about, being out of shape and everything. But one thing that you got to respect about Jokic is that he's always available. So throughout his career, every single year he's played from 2015 to now 2024, he's played 80 games, 73, 75, 80, 73, 72, which is 72 games with that 2020-2021 year. So he played every single game that year. He played 74 games the year after, 69 games, and he's played 48 games this year. So he's been available just about 90% of his NBA career, or probably more than that, to be honest. So I know people get on to him a lot for, not being in the best shape, but one thing you can't say is that he's never available. He doesn't miss games for any bad reason.
And there's some respect to that too, as far as fans with that. If you know those guys are going to be there, like you can have some loyalty with them, buy that jersey and know that they're always going to be there. Other guys, it's almost like they're not playing for the team; it's playing for self. And I get it, I understand it's a business, but like
these guys are making 9 figures.
Yeah,
you can play 82 games.
It all comes back to that connection, like you just said. If you see the player in your home city, home state, showing up to work every day, you're gonna ride for that, and then performing at the highest level against the best in the world, you're gonna ride for that guy. That's because again, you're doing the same exact thing. Because after that game is over, you're going home and you got to get up the next day and go to work. Like, so it's kind of wild that we've come to this point. Like,
you lived in New York. How many games did you go to in a season?
Nick games? Oh,
yeah.
I say over the last I didn't really go during obviously I didn't go through COVID. I didn't go during COVID. But before that, I'd probably go to maybe 6 or 7 games a season.
Okay, 6 or 7 a season.
Nolan is, the prices in New York is insane. So.
Right. Nick, how many NBA games have you went to in your lifetime or in a season, however you go?
Probably 5 or 6. My first one was in 2010. So probably 6.
Total or each season?
Yeah, total.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have a luxury because I don't live in an NBA city. I've never.
I'm right there with you. That's what I was about to say. Yeah. I have never been to an NBA game because any way I go to, it's 6-7 hour drive for me to go where I live in Kentucky. I know it is what it is, but let's just say I went to go see my favorite NBA player for the very first time in my life, and it would be money because you're looking at me. I probably have to go get a hotel, miss the day of work as well, or plan at least on my off day. Take my son, of course.
On a weekend or something.
A weekend, yes. It's going to be a whole getaway. I'm probably looking at least, $300 with one night stay plus tickets, maybe even more. And then I get to that game for my very first one with my son who's never been to the game to have this experience. And we'll say we go watch the Suns and Booker doesn't play. Just no injuries, no nothing, but load management. He needs to sit out. Do you think I'm ever going to go to another NBA game?
Right, and that's
probably not.
People don't consider exactly. That situation right there is what people don't consider, bro.
So I mean, funny. You can take my one excuse or my one example and go back and combat why they need to play at least 65 games. 80%. It's 80% of the games.
It's not even that's not even crazy. It's not even.
No, Michael. Honestly, that just reminded me. So last year, I went with my uncle, my brother, and my little cousin. We went to see the Grizzlies and the Pelicans, and the night before, the Grizzlies had just played the Blazers, and I just remember because we ended up driving on the way there. We ended up driving the same day, to the game. And I just remember, us on the highway, we were thinking dang, Ja may not play, but I was hoping not. And then by the time we got to our hotel, we got the news that Ja wasn't available I don't even think it said a reason, but I mean, we all know it was probably low management. I just remember how mad everybody was in the room. Even my little cousin. My little cousin, he was 12 at the time. So he's a big John Morant fan. You know, that was the guy that I guess his favorite player in the league. And you know, it was just an unfortunate situation because obviously Zion was already out anyways because he was hurt. You know, he had been hurt since last January. So now you're going to this game and you're not going to see either Zion or Ja. So I mean, it was still a good game. Don't get me wrong. It was still a really good game. But to not have those two stars was just, you know, it just sucked at the end of the day.
But it was a good game.
You went to the worst
game.
What is it?
First game,
bro. But that's the thing. Like we purchased these tickets like in November. Like this game happened in April. Okay. So that's the thing. So we were like, dang. Like, and then next, 2 months later, I think Zion got hurt. And then hell, we didn't even think that we were going to see Ja anyway because at the time Ja was dealing with the whole situation. That was the first incident with the gun. So we thought he wasn't going to play anyways. But then he ended up coming back, and we were like, okay, cool, we might have a chance to see him. And then by the time like 2 hours before the game started, we found he wasn't going to play. It was crazy.
And you know, I'm kind of getting ticked at the NBA players as we talk about this. I'm a big baseball fan too. I love Cincinnati Reds, and like you know, we try to go to a few Reds games a year, which it's crazy because it's only 4-hour drive for us to go to Cincinnati, so it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's a day for sure, but if a person's not in the lineup, you can about guarantee they're going to walk down the sidelines or the first baseline, the out of foul territory. There we go, and they're probably going to sign some autographs. If an NBA player ain't playing, more than likely you may not see them until right at tip-off and they come in, sit down on the bench, and that's it. Like there's not that much interaction with fans to basketball players as they are with other sports. And now, granted, it's other sports. There's still a separation. But if a person that you hear isn't playing on your favorite team when you're going to that game, you probably ain't even going to really see them. Like especially if it's a away game, they may not even travel. When it comes to the MLB, they travel. They're with them. They're signing. They'll even pass with little kids out there. You know, it's an experience when you go to a game no matter what with baseball. But when it's NBA, it's straight like, hey, I need the rest today. I'm going to be in street clothes. You're not even going to recognize me. And I'm going to fall away into under the tunnel when the game about buzzes off and nobody's going to see me. So, I don't know, man. It's, in a way, it kind of leaves a dirty taste in your mouth if you think about how it really is treated. Like, they don't care about the fans. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but if you want to play less than 65 games because you want to rest, you don't care about us fans.
But also the thing too, I mean, I don't want to primarily put it on the players because I mean there are a lot of situations where that is out of their control. You know, it's always the front office or it's always the training staff that does tell them like, hey, you know, y'all need to rest this day. Because even like, you know, they could wake up that day and be ready to play, and then as soon as they get to shoot around or practice, you know, before the game, they get that call and say, hey, we need you to sit out tonight. You know, I know that you want to play, but you know, we need you to sit out. You know, especially when it's coming closer to playoff time or whatever it is. So, you know, it is also on the players. I'm not taking any accountability away from the players, but I think it's just the whole team in general, like the players, the coaching staff, the training staff, everybody.
Well, it's even been proven by science that injuries are still just as high with the resting or the load managements as they were ever before. So it's not fixing anything. What's it doing? What's the purpose of still doing it then?
Yeah, I agree.
And that's the thing too, because like it's like I get it, you know, I understand that you want, especially if you're a contender, you know, you want your best players to be available for the more important times, which is the playoffs. But we can't discredit the regular season. That's why I don't understand. You know, I'll go on Twitter or whatever it is, and I'll see people say the regular season doesn't matter. And I'm like, how does it not matter? You got to win games to get into the playoffs. You have to win. You know, so I don't understand how people can say that the regular season doesn't matter. Like, it really matters so that you can compete for titles. You got to go through the regular season in order to get to the playoffs.
That's Twitter, bro. You're not going to get a smart people on that app, bro.
It's insane.
But listen, look at the in-season tournament. Everybody was getting up for that. Why? Because it was running. It was 500,000? Oh, no, yeah. Bro, I love the regular season. Let's fly. Yeah. You saw the drop from the Lakers when the in-season tournament to after the in-season tournament? The effort, it was like night and day. So again, that's a prime example of what we're talking about.
Here's my issue with it too. Either one of y'all, whenever you all played on a team, if you were healthy, did you not want to be playing no matter what?
Exactly.
I was gonna play. Of
course.
I don't ever recall a time ever being on a formal team and thinking, I just don't want to play today.
But that just has to be like that has to be the competitive driving you though to want to play. You know what I mean? Like,
so are we saying the NBA players don't have that drive then though? Because I mean, I agree with you.
It's a lot of players that don't have that drive. It's a lot of players. That's a lot of players in the league that just play for the bread. Of course, you can just see how they play. To me personally, like if you playing in the league and you don't get better every single year, that says a lot to me. Because if you're doing the same move you've been doing since year one and you're in your like 7th year, that just shows me the type of effort that you're putting in. And you got role players now making like 20 mil. So, all you got to do is do a couple things here and there. You could live swell.
I'm saying like you're a full-time basketball player. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get better. Like, you gotta constantly, like, what I'm saying? I know that sometimes it can be exhausting physically, but at the end of the day, it's all a part of, what you work for. And now that you are at that level, it's only important that you continue that.
Well, as fans, we get snubbed sometimes, but let's go ahead and switch on over to the All-Star reserves that were announced. Now, I was trying to pull something up that we had on the Twitter or the X, and I don't think it was really pulling up well because it was trying to do the list. So I'm going to try to go on Instagram and see how this looks better.
All right. Okay.
All right. Does that look better?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. You want to go ahead and run them down real quick?
Yeah. So for the East, we got Jalen Brunson. Congrats. Donovan Mitchell, Jaylen Brown, Paolo Banchero, Bam Adebayo, Tyrese Maxey, and Julius Randle. And for the West, we have Stephen Curry, Anthony Edwards, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Anthony Davis, Devin Booker, and Karl Anthony Towns. Pretty solid list. I'm honestly, I know that, and it's crazy because like I think this is the second straight year that Trae Young got snubbed and everything, which is just crazy. I know that we didn't have
about it. It's crazy about it.
Huh? I mean, I already know where you're going, and I get it, but I don't know, man. And I get it. That like the guard play in the Eastern Conference is great. I'm not gonna take nothing away from that, but we gotta admit that there's like some type of dysfunction between Trae Young and the rest of the NBA. I don't know exactly what it is, but at the end of the day, coaches do play a role in this. They do have a vote in this. So, and I mean, I've tried not to to get into the theory of, guys around the NBA don't like Trae Young, but you kind of start thinking that it's true. And I get it, and look, do I think that Trae Young has had a better season than Jalen Brunson? No. I would definitely not give him that spot over Jalen Brunson, but I don't know. I guess the way that I look at it is, you can't argue that Trae Young's not having a pretty good season. I think he's having a pretty great season, but it's like I say, the guard play in the East is just really great now, especially now when you add the addition of Damian Lillard now who came from the West. I think that only makes it even tougher. So
yeah,
that's 2 cents.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Obviously, I said last week Lillard shouldn't even have started in the All-Star.
Not at all.
That's a different discussion. Here's the thing, and I didn't come up with this idea. I got to give credit to JJ Redick. He was like, let's make it 15 a team, 15 West, 15 in the East. So then now that eliminates the snubs, right? I think it's time. I mean, what's the whole? I mean, and then of course guys really don't want to play in the game anyway. So you could disperse minutes between 15 guys, and on each conference. That sounds like a good idea to me. For the Trae Young thing, 27 and 10. Listen, I mean that's incredible. I can't take anything away from that. I mean, you're averaging 27 and 10 in the NBA the last 2 years. It's great, but 42% from the field, 36% from three, which is above league average, which is good. And he's always been a great free throw shooter, 88%. The efficiency is still not there, and he does have a high usage rate. So I mean, he has the ball all the time. We remember we had these conversations when they got Murray. It was like, oh, he's going to come off the ball. Not a chance. Still playing on the ball. Averaged 4 turnovers a game. So 10 assists, 4 turnovers a game. Still leads the league in turnovers. He's been leading the league in turnovers over the last 2 years. Not a Trae Young hater, but again, there's a reason why he went from conference finals playing, right? Now, some of that is team building. I think they haven't done the best job in building around him. If your best player is a smaller guard, you definitely need to put around him some solid 3-and-D wings. We thought that would be Sadiq Bey and DeAndre Hunter, so maybe they did build around. And then you got Clint Capella, right? Who's a big in the middle who blocked shots. Just John Collins wasn't going to work. It just wasn't going to work out. He's not even really playing that great in Utah. So he's in a.
Who's his third best player? Bogdanovich.
Here's what happened. Bogdanovich.
Yeah. But I was saying, like, it feels like he's probably like the third most consistent player besides Trae Young and DeJounte.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. So, I mean, he's just. Like I said, he's extremely talented. I mean, this is what he's been. He did this at Oklahoma, led the league in points, led the country in assists, led the country in points per game. I mean, he's an incredible basketball player, right? But it's just something's missing, man. I don't know what it is. Like I said, he's not the most efficient guy. Not even just from the shooting, but also from playmaking. I mean, 4 turnovers a game, that's kind of high. And I know he has the basketball a lot. I mean, it's 10 assists, 4 turnovers. I mean, that's to me, that's a lot. That's a lot of turnovers, man. And look at the guard play. You can make the argument. You could kind of make the argument that maybe Lillard shouldn't have been in the All-Star game. He didn't have the best first half of the season. You know, that's why making him the starter is like damn near blasphemy. But for this year, if you want to make that case, absolutely. He even admitted he's not having a great year. You know, he's dealing with everything. He talked about his, personal life and things like that. And that's a human element that people don't talk about in the game. I understand all of that. Donovan was a lock. Obviously, I mean, Brunson, that's a lock. The Celtics are going to have 2 players in the All-Star game because they have the best record in the NBA. So, Paolo Banchero, yeah, I mean, I think he deserves it. He's having a hell of a season, career highs and everything. Bam's going to get in there.
Oh, shit, is Jimmy not in it?
No, why would Jimmy be in the All-Star game, bro? He's like those guys. They don't care about the regular season. He doesn't care about the regular season. He doesn't care. He admittedly said that. He doesn't care about the regular season. He cares about the postseason. So he's not going to be a Tyrese Maxey. Definitely deserves it. Career year. And then 24-9 and 5.
You got to give it to Randall.
What's up? So, like, again, I think just make it 15 per team. I think that's how you eliminate the snubs. And then you look at the West, people are obviously, Kings fans.
Yes.
It's a good argument.
De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis have had great years.
I mean, at least one of them.
Who do you take out here?
Well, I'll say this.
Nobody.
No. Fox is the number one option on that team. So, I mean, he's the whole purpose that they're there. I mean, maybe Cat, possibly Paul George.
I don't know about Paul George. No, I think the Clippers have been too good to not have Paul George.
I can't say Cat because the Timberwolves got the best record in the West. They got the number 1, number 2 seed in the West for the majority of this first half of the season. So, I mean, people say AD. I disagree, but people say AD.
I ain't gonna lie, AD's been good this year. He's been great. But
they said the Lakers shouldn't have 2 All-Stars because they have they're 2 games above 500, which I mean, it's a good. I cannot debate that. It's tough to debate that. But LeBron is a lock, so it's like it does. I mean, they could be 10 and 42. Like, I just think LeBron is obviously it'll never be that, but it's going to be LeBron is a lock every season, bro. He's the most popular player in the league, so he's always going to get in just by default. And then and AD's been available. We can't call him street clothes, day-to-day Davis, A Disney, whatever
Besides that Boston game, I don't even know. That was crazy.
Yeah, that's just whatever nicknames people wanted to call him. You can't call him those things this year because he's been available and he's been playing at a high level. I think he's right up there for DPOY. I mean, he went crazy last night against the Knicks. I mean, he was the game changer in that game. So it's like, who do you're not taking Curry? I mean, you down with Curry over Fox? I mean, Fox over Curry?
You better not say yeah.
I'm asking.
You better not say yeah.
No, absolutely not.
The Kings have a better record than the Warriors. The Warriors are what, 6 games under 500?
Yep. Actually, 5 games. I'm looking at
5
right
games
now.
under 500.
Disgusting.
So and it's not
Or 5
Curry.
games back. I'm sorry, 5 games back from first.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like what CJ said. You know, LeBron is going to be a lock every year, and so is Steph.
So exactly, so is Steph. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like it'll never be a situation where Fox will get voted unless injury. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel bad for Kings fans, but yeah, because I don't think anybody's hurt in the West. I know Randall and Embiid are out, so I think Trae Young ended up making it. And
I
then
forgot about Randall. Yeah,
and then they'll probably put in Porzingis. I mean, they might have 3 Celtics on there. I mean, again, like I said, they've been the best team all year.
Don't forget Derek White too. But I mean, I know it'd be a big. But
no. I'm so tired of that narrative.
I don't think he's
not an all-star.
He's a hell of a role player.
Jesus Christ, people got to stop with that narrative, please. He's not an all-star.
I mean, he's having a great year, and they're the best.
He's having a great year, but he's not an all-star. Jesus Christ.
He's having a great year. Yeah.
What about
JJ Redick started that narrative, man? Jeez.
Scotty Barnes even?
Nah, not Scotty Barnes.
He's having a career year, but they're not playing well, and they just traded. You know, you could argue 2 players better than them.
Jamal Murray's not even on this.
Jamal Murray is kind of like Butler.
The guard playing the West.
He doesn't really kick up in the regular season. He's kind of like he's like the Western Conference version of Jimmy Butler, bro. Playoff time, he's a completely different dude. Regular season is kind of 20. He should be up there. He's like 20. Like he's at 22 points per game, 5. Like he should be up there. I agree. And then come playoff time, he's putting up 25 and 10 in the finals. Right. So he's one of those weird players too. So he's not going to get in. I mean that. It's tough. It's tough, man. The talent pool in the NBA is incredible. It's incredible. That's why I go back to, again, what I was saying. I said at the top of the segment, just make it 15-15, bro, and figure it out.
So Paul George this year is averaging 22.7, 5.5, and 3.6.
It'll probably be Porzingis. I can see that.
I'm going to check him.
And Sabonis is averaging 19, 13, and 8. Sheesh.
Crazy.
And not the All-Star.
Not an All-Star team. I mean, listen, like, it's the same thing. Like, Clippers is second in the West, right? I believe.
The Clippers. It's.
Hell, people said that Harden didn't make it.
It's Timberwolves, Thunder, Clippers, Nuggets. Clippers and Nuggets are 1 game back. Thunder are half a game back. Who doesn't know? SGA's in the starting lineup. Never mind.
Yeah, SGA's in the starting lineup. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They got their guy.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I feel for King fans, bro. I really do. I really do. I mean, they make a strong case. It's not like the Kings are dirt, right? I mean,
this is 2 years for the Kings as far as being relevant. They were second place all season last year, and now this year, man, Fox needs to be in there. He's averaging 27, 4, and 5.
Over who?
Anyone.
He's
averaging more than Paul George for sure. George is 22, 5, and 3, and he's 27, 5, and 4, I think it was.
That's a fair point, but then look at the team Paul George is on. Paul George has to share the rock with two other guys that are ball dominant.
Yeah, that don't matter.
No, I'm just saying.
Extend the roster to 15.
So what happened? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just roster to 15, man. I don't know what the holdup is. I really don't.
Just put a third team in it.
Because let's be real. Like, at least in my prediction is, I don't think LeBron James will probably play in the second half of the All-Star game. So that can give another opportunity for younger guys to probably come in, and play those minutes.
I agree. Yeah. If the game is close, he'll probably come in there late, 7 minutes left in the fourth.
Maybe.
But
you guys not done with the All-Star game, though?
What do you mean?
Why?
Last year, I felt like it was just garbage.
I mean, they definitely got to turn it up defensively. I mean, that's something that we've been complaining about for a little while now. So I can definitely understand it from that perspective. But I mean, at the end of the day, people are still going to want to go for all the events as well. It's not just the game, but
the events.
Yeah,
like
I mean, obviously the 3-point contest now. They got Curry going up against Sabrina Ionescu with the WNBA. They still got the dunk contest. I don't know exactly who's in the dunk contest, but people still get
dunk contest. Dead.
I mean, it's been dead for I don't know how long. Probably for 2016 or whatever. It's crazy.
Guys winning the slam dunk contest. Come on, man.
Mac McClung going for the repeat.
That's a slap in the face to the league, in my opinion. And that's no disrespect to McClung, but you got.
I mean, the main players don't want to participate. Nobody wants to participate.
Yes, it's a slap in the face to the league. You got a whole pool of all-stars there for the entirety of the weekend. You can't get 5 guys willing to participate in the slam dunk contest.
Like you could get Zion. You could get. I mean, I know Ja's hurt, so I mean that's not.
Bro, Zion. I don't think Zion will do it because every time he go for a dunk, people gasp and just pray he lands. I mean, I hate to say that, but I think it's true, bro. It's just the Pelicans are shutting that down automatically. He'll never be in the slam dunk contest until they see him play 2 years in a row healthy. If I'm New Orleans, that's what I'm doing. You're not in any slam dunk contest until I play 2 years clean slate. No, good.
With no babies.
Yeah. With no breaks. Yeah, that's it, bro.
No, I said babies. No babies.
Oh.
You said no breaks. Yeah, no babies.
Yeah, the All-Star game in general, it's not what it used to be, man. It's definitely not what it used to be, bro. And again, it's the same thing. It goes back to what we were talking about in the a couple segments ago about, this is also a time where people come, people bring their families to see these guys participate. And again, these guys make so much money, man. I think they just look at it as the NBA version of the Grammys. I think that's how they see it now.
That's great.
That's a crazy thing because I feel like it's an opportunity to showcase that you're the best player in the league or you're the best conference in the league. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It was just way more battles in the past. I just remember. I remember Chris Paul talking about it. Whenever him and Kobe teamed up in the All-Star game, they wanted to win and they worked together to try to win. So I mean, I guess you just miss that competitive energy that these players have brought to the
competitive.
Games. Yeah, period. But now we just don't see it. We see guys just get wide open dunks, going through the lane. Nobody's trying to stop them. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's I get it. It's cool to see a lot of flashy dunks. It's cool to see everybody just jack on 3-pointers, but we also just want to see that competitiveness as well.
Listen, I'm sorry to cut you off. I don't know how many times I've seen the quote highlight of Steph Curry lay down at the free throw line for Giannis to go and dunk. And everybody's like, oh, wow, this is awesome. Why is that really the all-star highlight that the player really bowed down to let someone go to the lane and dunk? It's supposed to be the game to showcase the all-star, you're better than everyone else, not woohoo, let's make this fun. What happened to the competitive? In 2001, 2, or 3, Kevin Garnett and their team was we're going to go out here and compete. And where's those guys who wants to win at all costs? This is almost a circus act on an All-Star, and I'm getting way off on a tangent on here. I just realized. We got many weeks to talk about this.
Yeah. But I mean, it's crazy too, though, because I remember when they tried the new rule with the target score that year. I think it was 2020 when they had it in Chicago, and that game was really competitive in the fourth quarter. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, man! We're gonna keep this. This is what's gonna make the game competitive." And then years after that, it just didn't. It didn't last. It didn't last.
I mean, let's be honest. We're kind of talking about buying tickets and going to games and stuff right now. If you weren't guaranteed any time to actually talk or get an autograph with a player, would you really pay top dollars to go and watch the All-Star game? Because I wouldn't. It's a joke. It's basically warm-ups for 4 quarters.
I probably would just to have the experience.
The only reason it would be worth it is you get to see all the superstars in one
celebrities
on one court, but that's it. Like, they're not even performing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's it. That's really it. You know, like that'd be it. You know, I don't really like idolize these players. You know, we talk about them and everything because we love basketball, but you know, I don't idolize the players. So, you know, I will go there just because it is a historic event, in basketball. You know, not to be like, oh, look at LeBron. Like, nah, bro. Like, it's not. You know, I'm getting too old for that. But, yeah, you know, if you get media passes, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'll go.
Hey,
you know,
we there.
if we're getting sponsored and endorsed by somebody for us to go there, of course, no doubt. But in terms of me coming out of pocket, I think I just watch it on TNT, man. I think I just watch it on TNT with the guys or something like that, bro.
Because it's there's nothing to even watch about it. Like it's
right.
But again, a tangent. We can talk about this probably while we watch the All-Star game live or something. So let's go on and move to another topic, guys. We've got Pat Bev, who's talking about his time with the Lakers, which I think is very interesting. Excuse me. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but
I saw a little bit of it.
It's kind of, I mean, ironic, I guess, maybe funny, because he's got. Well, I'll just read it. When I left, they blamed me. They blamed Russ. No, is it a clip?
There was a clip, but I mean, it's cool.
Okay. I'm sorry. This is from NBA Central on X, and he's just saying, quote, when I left, they blamed me. They blamed Russ. We're on some of the best teams in the NBA. Pat on the Lakers.
I don't recall anybody blaming him, personally.
Well,
us? Definitely.
No, Pat Bev. I don't blame. I don't know anybody blaming Pat Bev. I definitely know Russ.
He was the piece that they traded away or moved on from, I guess.
But hell, I mean, but that's the thing, because I remember him, because he was on First Take for like a few weeks, being on ESPN and everything. He was basically saying like, oh, they need me. Oh man, they need to get me to the Lakers, and then they made it happen, and then it just didn't work out.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. I was gonna say that too.
Yeah.
Also, last year in the Western Conference Finals, it was like, oh, if the Lakers go to the finals, I want a ring, even though you didn't participate in any of the play. So I mean, this guy's an entertainer, man. This is what he does. He's obviously, he knows how to, engagement farm certain things. He got a podcast, so that's cool. I mean, for Russ, yeah, Russ caught a lot of flack. And it was just an unfortunate situation. And it was just a bad fit. The coaching wasn't right, whether it was Darvin Ham or Frank Vogel, and it was just, like I said, it was just a bad fit. It was just a bad fit. Ty Lue obviously is more of a player's coach, and then obviously he has a much better relationship with Russell Westbrook, to where Russell Westbrook, willingly said, I'm going to come off the bench. And look how this team has played since he's made that sacrifice. And again, that's what we've talked about when they made that Harden trade. That was the key word all three of us said: sacrifice. Right? I don't think there was a lot of sacrificing from a team perspective when Russell was a Laker. So it just is what it is. It is what it is, and I don't think anybody really blamed Pat Bev, because Pat Bev was a role player. I know he likes to play himself in these situations with these top guys, because he's been on some pretty good teams with some good players. But come on, my guy, stop it.
Stop the gap.
Yeah, chill out.
I mean, I have nothing to say, but I do think his point here, and I agree with you all, but the Lakers are always making an excuse for each team they have. Like the first time LeBron went there, it was they all had I think Lance Stevenson and everyone that was good at driving. I think Rondo was on the team, of course. And then they didn't have the shooters, so they go out and get shooters. Now the shooters can't shoot.
All the young guys.
So it's like there's always an excuse for this Lakers team for underperforming, but at some point it's got to be looked at the front office to orchestrating the team together, or LeBron and the front office, whatever you want to say. But there's a lot of stuff that's been going on with LeBron and some of his social media stuff too. I think, Nick, you shared one where you had the time sand thing, whatever it is, glass thing. And then, of course, I think
there was a report that came out, I think, a few days ago, saying that he was undecided about his player option next year.
Yeah,
and everything.
Yeah, but that hourglass was for his new deal with DraftKings. Like,
is that what it was? Because a lot of people are saying it's for Ham.
Nah, it wasn't for him.
It was because like a couple hours later he announced his partnership with DraftKings.
I think people don't really. I think LeBron actually has a good relationship with Darvin Ham. I don't think people realize that.
I think he had a good relationship with all his coaches. That don't mean he wanted to be there for the entirety of the season. You know what I mean?
But I seen a report today, actually. Well, I'll say report, social media, where it's talking about that LeBron was using a New York Knicks towel instead of a Lakers towel. I don't know if you've seen it, but
he was playing at MSG. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's regular though. That's regular when you go to the away team when they go to the home team.
That's what I thought. And I was going to ask. Like, I mean,
people really want to start this narrative, bro. Like, please.
I mean, people that share that. I mean, that's engagement farming, bro. That's engagement.
Yeah.
That's if you know basketball, you know that's happened since the beginning of time. Like,
okay, cool. He's a Knicks towel. He's playing at the Knicks arena.
Yeah,
right. Why would they have a Lakers towel at Madison Square Garden? Like, stupid.
I guess they assumed that they had brought their own towels. Who knows?
I mean, they probably do, but still, I mean, you know, those are probably the most available ones are the Knicks towels. You're playing at the Knicks arena.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing. Just different team on the towel, bro. Like, it's insane, right?
It's all scripted, anyways, right?
I don't think so.
Now, there was a quote I want to say that LeBron said that he actually did think about going to New York, which I mean, I'm sure many people know, especially in 2010 when the decision that went down. You know, it was Miami, it was Chicago, and it was New York and everything. So
you believe that?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe before D Wade and Bosh had announced, because you gotta remember, D Wade and Bosh had already announced they were going to play in Miami before LeBron had actually, you know, made his decision. So I don't know. Who knows?
There was also a report that they already made the deal. They were going to team up during the Olympics in 2008.
That's true.
Did you mean the bookmark of this?
But was it Miami though? That's the thing. Because I mean, I'm sure that D Wade and LeBron had already talked about it. Because I mean, I'm sure because I remember when I think it was supposed to be them two and Melo that was supposed to team up together, but I didn't know if it was going to be Miami or not.
Who put La Chicken?
I feel like that was from the New York Post. Yeah, that's when LeBron went to the Heat, I think.
Yeah, that was in 2010.
Yeah, they tried to say he was afraid of the pressure to come to New York and all that. Yeah.
So he went to Miami and then he goes to the Lakers. But anyways. So, yeah, here's a post for you podcasters listening later. From NBA Central, it's got a quote from LeBron. I've had that in my thought in my career on playing in the Knicks. But it don't really specify how long, like, was it in the past or...
I'm sure it was 2010. I'm sure it was 2010 whenever he was about to leave Cleveland and go to Miami.
I mean, like...
Is it sad that I would like him as a Knick?
He could have made that move, but you look at the Knicks back in 2010. I mean, they were dysfunctional.
I mean, Amari ended up going. I mean, that was cool, but
he was like the consolation prize, right? Because LeBron
had to settle.
That was like it was like, oh, Amari, cool, you want to pull up? And I mean, he had some really good moments in the Knicks jersey, but everybody obviously for the teams that he wanted to go to, it was the Clippers, the Heat, the Bulls, the Knicks, and then obviously back to Cleveland. Like, so all those teams were clamoring for LeBron at that time. And then after he decided to go to South Beach, it was like, oh, Amari, hey, what's up?
It's like, we ain't really want you, but hey, I mean, we'll take you.
Yeah.
Floppy seconds.
That's crazy, man.
Do you think that would have changed his career if he went to the Knicks?
Yeah, it would have been terrible for his career. I mean, look at the front office. Look at what the front office was back in 2010. They had Donnie Walsh. Dolan was still had a factor in terms of making basketball decisions. Now, not so much. He finally woke up and became self-aware and let basketball guys do their job. So now it's not, and then you see that's why they're flourishing right now. Back then, when they had Donnie Walsh and those guys, and then Phil Jackson came in there, it was disaster.
Yo, Phil was the worst thing to ever happen. Oh my god!
Dolan just begged him to pull up and just gave him a blank check. He never wanted.
They signed Derek Fisher as their coach.
Derek Fisher, Jeff. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Those are poverty years, man. I feel for Melo because Melo had to go through that, man.
I do feel bad for Melo. I do feel bad for Melo, and it makes you think about what that team, and they had some solid years. Obviously that 2013 year when they went 50-32. But yeah, it would have been a disaster if we went to the Knicks, bro.
Speaking of LeBron and the Knicks, we don't have a graphic for this that I see, but CJ, do you want to talk about the Lakers defeating the Celtics and the Knicks in that win streak that got destroyed?
Yeah, man. Two big wins on the road for the Lakers this week for sure. First off, going into Boston, where I think they only had 2 losses at the time before losing that game to the Lakers without Anthony Davis and without LeBron James. I thought it was like, oh, really? Okay. They're going to take an L. They're going to get blasted. But guys like Austin Reeves, D'Lo, those guys stepped up. Austin Reeves been crazy. He had 7 threes, 32 points in that game. And I think the Celtics probably thought, oh, okay, cool, we're going to blow them out. And it just didn't happen that way. Then as the game goes on, it's like, oh, wait, we're losing. Now you got to play catch up. Now you got to play perfect ball. And sometimes when you do that, you come up on the wrong side. And that's exactly what happened with the that was an embarrassing loss. All things considered, based on record and how both teams have been playing in the first half of the season. Then LeBron, AD come back yesterday. I think it was a pretty competitive game against the Knicks. They did a great job in that fourth quarter. Knicks were unable to score with in like that 5-minute range, and the Lakers were able to pull away and get the victory. Did a great job defensively, loading up, trapping Brunson, getting the ball out of his hands, letting guys like Josh Hart, Precious Achiuwa knock down shots that they're not accustomed to knocking down. And those were 2 big wins for the Lakers. But, it's the same thing like what I said with the Phoenix Suns. Now what? Like, it's just, at this point, it's just like, okay, cool. You got 2 wins. I mean, the one against the Celtics is impressive because, again, you didn't have AD and Bron. But, and the win yesterday, too, to me, I mean, it's still an impressive win because they haven't had a great overall season. They've been to 500. But you still got LeBron James and Anthony Davis on the court. Like, you're always going to have a shot to win the game. I just look at them defensively. They have to find. They still haven't found the right rotation. Vanderbilt gets hurt. I mean, he might be out for the season, allegedly. That's been a report. So that's a difficult situation for them. They have to find that right starting 5. And so far, they've gone back to D'Lo, Reeves, and they put Hachimura in the starting lineup last night. Taurean Prince was in there for a little bit. Their closing lineup was Reeves, LeBron, Hachimura, Taurean Prince, and AD. So a lot of defense, floor spacing, a little bit of playmaking in there. Reeves could be a playmaker if need be. That could that could be a solid closing lineup for them. That's really the thing for the Lakers, bro. They've had so many different rotations, so many different lineups over the course of the first half of the season. You can't get into a rhythm like that, and it's also not good for your morale for the team because one minute this guy's think he's getting a certain amount of minutes, and then the next day he's only getting 12, right? So that you need some consistency, and I think they've finally figured some things out there. And we'll see what happens. But more importantly, they got to play. They have to play defense, bro. In the West, you got to lock up. And Taurean Prince, he's had one of the worst years of his career. And it's sad. I mean, he was a 39% 3-point shooter last year. I thought he would be a great pickup for them. Had a great game last night, but he has to keep that up, be consistent, knock down shots. I mean, he's going to be in that corner all day. If that strong side, if they help, you got to be able to knock down that shot. So, once they get their rotations together and once they figure out, defensively, that's what they're going to have to be aggressive on defense. And it's like, why wouldn't you be that aggressive on defense? You got a DPOY candidate behind you. You should definitely be locked in and getting that perimeter defense in there. So, 2 great wins by the Lakers, and we'll see if they could catapult that into going into the second half of the season.
2 big wins for the Lakers. Heading into last week, I like to, wake up, especially like early in the mornings, and I'll check the schedules and everything. And I saw Lakers Celtics on the first, which is Thursday, and I was like, okay, cool. This should be a pretty good match. I know that the Lakers are, a struggling team, but with them going up against Boston, we all know what the rivalry is between those two teams. So it's always fun to watch those two teams go head to head. Then we find out LeBron and AD don't play, and I'm like, well, damn, like, how are y'all not going to show up against like an elite matchup like this? So I'm with CJ. I thought that the Celtics were going to take care of business on their home court, especially with the Lakers missing their two stars and just being able to get that good win. But I don't know what it was. The Lakers just came out with so much energy from the start of the game. They forced Boston like 7-8 turnovers in the first quarter. Like, it was crazy. And then Austin Reeves went crazy. D'Lo went crazy. They got a good play out of guys like Jared Vanderbilt and a few other guys as well. So it was a great win for the Lakers, man. I'm sure a lot of people did not expect them to go in a hostile territory and get that type of win. So good win for them. And then that momentum continue. AD comes back, LeBron comes back. They were able to get a big win in Madison Square Garden against a red-hot Knicks team who won 9 games in a row. I thought they were going to lose that game as well. Jalen Brunson's been playing incredible. And then, the rest of the guys as well. The Knicks were like 13-2, I want to say, since the OG Anunoby trade. So, I mean, they were blitzering hot, at that time. So I was like, okay, cool. They're going to take care of advantage on the home court. But you got to give credit to the Lakers. AD played a really, really great basketball game. Austin Reeves played really great as well. LeBron obviously had 24 points in that matchup. So, like, this is a good momentum booster for the Lakers to go into 2 hostile crowds and play against, two of the two top contenders in the Eastern Conference and being able to get both of those wins on the road. And now they got Charlotte tomorrow, which, that should be a pretty good win for them as well. So, for them to close out this road trip and in high fashion, because they ended up losing to Houston, and then they ended up getting blown out to Atlanta in a few games before that. So, for them to potentially end this road trip on a 3-game winning streak is going to be really big for them, especially as they head into All-Star weekend.
Yeah, excuse me. They definitely had a nice East Coast run here. Definitely some big wins, as you guys already said. But another East team that we'll go ahead and kind of talk about is, will the Nets blow it up? Of course, that kind of sounds a bit odd, but we'll get this pulled up here the way I said it. The Brooklyn Nets reported received multiple offers of 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges per HP.
5?
It's what the report says there. 2 league sources said the Nets have claimed multiple offers of 5 first rounds for Mikal Bridges, but I'm pretty skeptical on that front one. Let's see here. It might be 5 firsts with swaps or heavily protected picks. And if the offer is really 5 firsts, why share that? And then continue to say that you're not interested in trading Mikal Bridges. That's a lot on that post, but
besides Cam Thomas, everybody else can go.
I agree, man. Maybe I probably keep Claxton too, because the type of center that he is hard to come by in today's NBA. Rebounder, defender, versatile. I would say keep Cam Thomas and keep Claxton, and that'd be it, man. I just don't see a real direction with this organization. 5 first-round picks, obviously that's absurd. The Nets are weird because they have some really, and I said this earlier, before we got here, they have some quality role players, man, that could really help some teams. DFS is not having the best year, but that year in Dallas where he kind of came onto the scene and kind of became a national name, leading being a factor in that Western Conference Finals appearance with the Mavericks. I think that's still in him for sure. Cam Johnson, definitely sniper, solid defender, can knock down shots. Floor spacers are definitely what you need in today's NBA.
Dennis Smith.
Dennis Smith Jr. One of the best.
Pretty good.
Yeah, he's been locking up. Obviously the shooting has always been a concern with him, but he's really found a nice role for himself in being a quality high level defender, and that's exactly what you need, especially in today's NBA with all the terrible defensive calls and things like that. And of course at the top would be Mikal Bridges, right? You're not even going to talk about the other guy, but
Benjamin.
Yeah. But what happened?
I said my back's hurting.
Yeah, man. That's a different character, man. He's a different guy. But they listen. He's obviously not worth 5 first-round picks. But I just don't know what the Nets are going to do. They're in a weird spot. I think they're like 10 games under 500. I believe so. Or 10, 11 games under 500. Somebody can fact check me on that. But all right,
they're 17 games back. They're only 8 games under 500.
Oh, 8 games. Yeah, they had a nice couple good wins. Cam Thomas had dropped 40. I think the other night. But it's weird, man. It's weird. I think they got to do the same thing that Chicago's doing, man. Or I think they should do is definitely just dismantle this team and start over. You have a boatload of picks from the Kyrie and KD trades from last season, and you're just going to continue to accumulate that. I think you just do what OKC did. You're just going to be a couple years behind.
Did Philly give them any picks from the Harden Simmons trade?
Yes. I think they have one. I think they have a Houston pick. I think they have one of those Houston picks, and then I think they got 2 first-round picks in that deal. I believe so.
I'm trying to remember. It's been a while.
I think it was 2 first-round picks. Yeah, bro. But
I just want to say here real quick. I don't think they'll be a few years behind. I think they need to go ahead and blow it up, like you're saying, and just totally commit to that process, if you will. Because, you can get 1 or 2 guys in the early picks now. Like we just said, they are 17 games out of first. So right now they are the 6th worst team in the league with 20 wins, Raptors at 17. Go ahead and blow it up and compete with the Hornets, Wizards, and Pistons as far as being the last. And try to get some picks there at the beginning. And, man, you hit on one of those early picks and you're turning your season around. It may not be the savior like a Wemby, but at least it says, okay, we can build with this guy. Let's pull a Cunningham. Oh, wow, you need some like a scope done to your knee to clean up some debris or whatnot. So you set out another year. Let's tank for 2 years. And now 3rd year, we're already competitive. So, just commit to it.
OKC's formula, man, it's a lot of luck that factored into that. Obviously SGA was the biggest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not, as we know, there's not a lot of SGAs around there. They were very fortunate that he wanted to stay despite all that losing as well. Now, of course, they were going to give him more money than any other team when it came to an extension, which is a key factor for these guys. But they don't have an All NBA guy over there. They had. The Thunder had a potential All NBA guy that was on the rise, averaging 25. Now he's averaging 30, and they were ass, right? That's not the Nets. You know what I mean? Right. Mikal Bridges is really good, but he's not to that level. So, yeah, bro, they gotta make a move and commit to it. That's what they have to do. They have to make a move and stand firm and make sure that's what they want to do.
Because really, since they've been Brooklyn, they have not been a good organization.
Yeah. Listen, and people have laughed at the Knicks, and I remember 2019 when they got KD and the only person we got was Julius Randle. Look at how things have changed in the last 5 years. Look at how things have changed in the last 5. People laughed at us when we got Randall. It was like, oh, you got Randall, a backup from the Pelicans? The Nets got KD and Kyrie and DeAndre Jordan. It was hyping that was like a 3-man deal. Now here we are 5 years later, and they got a bunch of role players, and we got 2 All-Stars, and the third best team in the East. It's just how you run the team, man. There's a lot of terrible executives that run these NBA teams, bro. It's a lot of guys that don't know how to understand the business of basketball. And I'm not saying that's Sean Marks, but it just hasn't been great so far.
So we all agree they blow it up.
I agree, man. I think
it's time. I know that Mikal Bridges had a pretty good showing last year when he got traded, but I think we just got to come to terms that, he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but as far as being your franchise player and the number 1 option, that's a nada. Ben Simmons, I'm tired of trying to defend him. I got fooled during preseason, man. I was like, yo, this man's looking good. And then he comes out, he's missing a whole bunch of games. And he actually, I want to say there was a game like last week where he had like a near triple double, and everybody's like, oh, Ben Simmons is back, and then he ended up missing another game. So it was like, I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I can't defend the guy no more. I'm trying to have hopes for him, but can't do it.
Yeah, dude is Derek, man. The dude is Derek, bro. We're hyping up 8, 9, and 8 for a first round pick, for a first number 1 overall pick in 2016. 8, 9, and 8. Oh, you got a almost triple double. Cool. Okay. You're supposed to be a franchise guy.
Listen, I picked him as my most improved player. I don't even want to talk about him.
You got me looking bad, bro. Come on, man.
Let's talk about a good team in the East, man.
There we go. Let's go. Are the Cavaliers for real? Like, come on now. You all kind of you're ragging them a little bit, and I've been saying they're a good team, but they're finally putting it together. I can't say that like I knew this was about to happen, but let me pull it up here. Boom. Here's their schedule for the last 14 games, I think it is. They've beat teams, of course, Washington twice, San Antonio, Brooklyn, Chicago.
Washington twice, yay.
Yeah, it was back-to-back games there. Then they go and beat the Bucks, Atlanta, Orlando. They lose to the Bucks. They beat the Bucks. They beat the Clippers. The Pistons, Minnesota, Memphis, and San Antonio. So, yes, they're 13 out of 14, 13-1. But some of these teams are on the weaker side.
So it sounds like they ain't really playing nobody, it seems like.
So let's get the talk going. Mitchell, of course, leading in all these 45 points, 31 points, 33, 23, 34, 45, a bunch of scoring. Man, you kind of made me sad now, CJ. Like, is this legit? Actually, Nick, I want to ask you here. Are they legit here? Because the teams aren't that great, but they are winning, and they were short.
The Cavs have always been a decent team to me. Like I've never tried to discredit Cleveland whatsoever. You know, they're always going to be a good team. You know, especially when you have Donovan Mitchell, who is one of the best 2 guards in the league, Darius Garland, who is still one of the more premier young point guards in the NBA. So, and then of course you talk about the young guys like Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. You got other guys as well, Karis LeVert. Who's the guy that they got from Miami? Yeah, I can't remember his name. Max Strus. So I mean, they've always had and Robin Lopez as well has been a great backup guy for them. But I mean, they've always been decent to me. You know, I'm not gonna discredit Cleveland, but I just never had them like as a true contender in the Eastern Conference. You know, I don't have them in the same mix as Boston. I don't have them in the same mix as Milwaukee. I didn't even have them in the same mix as Philly. You know, with a healthy Embiid. And I'm not saying that they can't compete with them, but when it comes down to a 7-game series, you know, I don't really have a lot of confidence. I mean, they're not even on the same tier as New York at this point. I mean, let's just be honest. And New York is better than what they were last year. You know what I'm saying? And that was the same New York team that bounced in 5 games last year. So, you know, it's a real interesting scenario for Cleveland because obviously, you know, the rumors with Mitchell, you know, potentially being traded out, you know, that's going to continue to swirl around the team. And we don't know what the future may hold for them. But I mean, for them, don't get me wrong. I know that they play some weaker opponents per se, but at the end of the day, I mean, you got to take care of business, you know, and they've definitely done that. So you got to give them credit. But I don't know. I mean, like they've always been a good team to me, but they've never been really high to me as far as, you know, being like a true contender. Like they'll definitely be like probably a 5 seed, but I don't have them beating like anybody else in the East like that.
Well, right now they're the 3rd seed. They're a half a game above your Knicks, CJ. So, what do you feel about these guys? Or how do you feel?
They're a good team. They're a good team. They have some really good players. Donovan Mitchell is having I think he's an MVP candidate. I think definitely he's an MVP candidate the way he's been playing. When I think about MVPs, you got to think about narratives. You got to think about situations. Okay, how well is the team playing with their star player without some of their other guys? And that's exactly what he's been able to do. You know, without Garland, without Mobley for a substantial amount of time, they've been able to play at a high level, still win a bunch of those games. And as you see on the graphic, I mean, he's been leading this team, not just in scoring, but also Just from a leadership perspective too, the intangibles, doing the things necessary to help the team win. I got to give him a lot of credit. So they're a really good team. I just come playoff time, last year was just disappointing. The way their front court played, the way Mobley and Jared Allen played, and that first round matchup against the Knicks, I was shocked by that. Honestly, I didn't think they would get outmanned that badly. I knew it'd be a battle in the front court, but I didn't think it'd be that bad. So I think they got a chip on their shoulder. I think those guys have a chip on their shoulder. They got something to prove. They want to come out and have a better outing than how they played last year. But they got to get those guys healthy. Mobley came back. Garland's going to come back soon. That's going to be the key. That's going to be the key. And it just comes down to what I've always said about this team. Can Evan Mobley take his game to the next level to really make this team go from playoff contender to title contender? He's the X factor. We know what Donovan Mitchell's going to do. Garland, he's talented, but he has been out and missed some time over the course of his career since being a Cav. He even got hurt at Vanderbilt at the University of Vanderbilt too. He had injury concerns, so that's kind of what you have to live with for someone like a guy like Garland. That's why I lean on Mobley, because he is the guy with the upside that could kind of do everything. He could be that franchise piece for them, and he's going to have to be more aggressive and usurp himself and become a number one soon. Because again, the clock is ticking in terms of Donovan Mitchell's contract in Cleveland, and his play and how he plays could definitely play a factor in whether or not he stays there long term. So they're a really good regular season team. Been a fan of JB Bickerstaff for a while. They do a lot of great things. I think they added some solid depth with Strus. LeVert has always been there. Okoro is good in his role, being a defender. You still would hope he'd be a better floor spacer at times, but they got some guys to fill in. So Dean Wade, they got some good players over there. But come playoff time, they're going to need Evan Mobley to be a dog. That's really what it comes down to, because you look at the landscape of the East, it's forward driven. For the Knicks, of course, Brunson is the guy, but we still got Anunoby and Randall. We know what the Celtics have: Porzingis, Brown, Tatum. You got Giannis and Brook Lopez over there in Milwaukee. And then when Embiid is healthy, and then you got Tobias Harris. So you need forwards. You need that highly versatile forward play to offset what those other teams in the East have. You look at the Pacers now, who they pick up. Siakam, power forward, right? So like that, they need Mobley badly to be this to be a key piece soon. Like I said, do they just want to be regular season merchants, or do you want to usurp yourself into being a true contender where teams are gonna be afraid to play you?
Yeah, everything you all said, 100% agree with everything. Just going to run down this real quick. Their next, I think I counted 14 games from February 5th to March 5th is follow: Sacramento, Washington, Brooklyn, Toronto, Philly, Chicago, Orlando, Philly, Washington, Dallas, Chicago, Detroit, then finishing out the last two with the Knicks and Boston. Wow. So even the next 14 games, there's some out of the 14, Sacramento, Philly twice, Dallas once, Knicks, and the Bulls. So that's 6 games, and that's 2 with Philly without Joel Embiid. So
right.
We'll see how far this really goes for them. It could be a nice little run that they put together, going even on that 14 out of those 6. If they win 3 of those 6, which I feel like Philly without Embiid, both of those games could be doable with size advantage for them for sure. So who knows? This could end up being a 13-1 to almost like a 22-3 maybe, and that'd be a good little push for them going into March with that. So
yeah, they got a fortunate schedule in the second half. So we'll see if they're able to capitalize on that, man. We'll see.
Yo, I've been laughing for like the last 5 minutes. So I'm checking out the final score of this Bucks and Jazz game. The Jazz outscored Milwaukee 40-13 in the fourth quarter. That's disgusting.
Wow.
Yeah, Milwaukee's not a threat, and they won't be.
To the Doc Rivers era.
And no, that's what I forgot to say. Doc Rivers is going to end up being the
The East All-Star coach.
Yeah, man.
Really?
And he doesn't deserve it because Joe
No.
Oh yeah, Joe Mazzulla did it last year. Yeah,
2 years in a row, right? So it's like
it's nasty.
nasty work, bro. Nasty how they did Adrian Griffin, bro. They told us the reason why they fired Adrian Griffin was because of the defense, but they lose to the Blazers on Wednesday, a 15-33 team, and then you 14-33 at the time, and now you're about to lose to you give up 40 points to the Jazz.
Did they beat Dallas last night?
I think so. Yeah, I think
it's when they combined for 70 or something like that. Dame and Giannis.
Yeah, they beat Milwaukee, or they beat Dallas last
night. It goes back to what we said. It's like bringing in Doc Rivers not going out there to play. Like he's not playing defense. So even if you have a great scheme, you still need the personnel to execute the scheme.
Did y'all see? I think it's Kevin Garnett. Did y'all see him where he's like, how does that like go? Oh, we need a coach. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so oh wow, you had some all-stars in Orlando, but that didn't mount out to anything. Oh, you had a great team with Boston, but you had 4 superstars that pretty much carried you into your championship. But after
that, KG? Who said that? Kevin Garnett?
I want to say it was him. Maybe it wasn't him.
That would be surprising because KG, that's his guy.
No, that sounds like Gilbert Arenas saying that.
Yeah, it might be.
You might be right on Arenas.
Yeah, Arenas.
And then it's like, okay, after those guys left, you mounted up to nothing, and so you had to leave and go to the Clippers. And it's like, oh, you had a long stint there, but you didn't do anything either. So, you go to Philadelphia where they have the superstar MVP and everything, and looks like you failed there. So yeah, we'll hire you. We'll see how it pans out.
Let's not forget Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers still reigns as the only coach to ever get traded.
Crazy.
That's wow. You get traded.
First round pick too.
First round pick for a coach. Wow. Guys, we're 11:22. My time.
Give you the coach.
We are about to get into the trade deadline, so we'll try to get through this a little bit faster. Maybe not go through the 15 or week 15 standings.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we go on to the trade deadline. Let's see here. Oh, I didn't get it ready. Of course, it is what? Thursday? Is trade deadline?
Yeah, Thursday, yeah.
Thursday, yeah.
Make sure to turn on those Woj notifications.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. We'll bring this one up first. Nick, how do you feel about this?
What is it, Alex Caruso?
Yes, Golden State Warriors reportedly inquiring about Alex Caruso.
I'm a fan of it. Depending on how long GP2 is out, I think perimeter defense is definitely needed for Golden State. You're not getting it with Stephen Curry. You're not getting it with Klay Thompson. I do like Podziemski. I like the effort that he brings offensively. I mean, he's shown some efforts defensively, but I think we need some perimeter defense bad. And with GP2 being out for a significant time, I wouldn't mind Alex Caruso being there. Now, I would personally love to see Alex Caruso in a better situation because Golden State, it's not really the best right now. I mean, obviously this is still kind of like a play-in team, but besides that, they're not really competing for anything at the moment. But I mean, if the Warriors were able to make that happen, I wouldn't be mad at it.
CJ, you okay with this?
Yeah, I like this move. I like this move. I felt like this should have been a move they should have made maybe about 15 games ago. But listen, I mean, Curry drops 60, you take an L. I mean, when something got to change, bro. This man scores 60 and you lose, really?
Poor guy.
On the Hawks, bro.
Right against the Hawks, like that. I mean, you got to think about what this guy's going through mentally, man. He's putting that pain in, putting up 60 on the road, and you still come out with an L. That's not a good look, man. That's not a good look. So something's got to give. Again, they don't have a lot of. I guess Moody, Wiggins. Somebody's. They're not going to move Kuminga because Kuminga's playing well right now.
He's been playing really well.
Yeah, they're going to keep JK. So, which
Jackson Davis is not on the table either. Got to keep him.
Yeah, they need size. So, I mean, salary cap wise, you guys don't have a lot of money. and you don't have a lot of draft assets either. So if you're somehow able to get a guy like Caruso, I think that'd be good. He could. I don't think he'll have the same impact as OG, but in terms of what he does, definitely will help that roster for sure. But I mean, again, I feel like why not make that move for Siakam? I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I don't really understand what the Warriors are doing right now. Maybe they're just. Truthfully, I think they're waiting till next year, free up the cap, and then try to go get a guy next to Steph. And I think obviously the odd man out could, unless he takes a pay cut, will probably be Clay. Clay will probably be the odd man out, unless he's willing to take a pay cut. I mean, but again, we've seen guys in dynasties leave. We've seen this. We saw. If you would have told me Tony Parker would have been a Charlotte Hornet, I would have been like, you're crazy. But he was. So it's like it could happen. It could happen. So a guy like Caruso would definitely be a good move. I think it'd be a good move for this team. And then if you do get GP2 back, then let's see what happens.
I'll just say it here, man. I wouldn't even mind seeing Clay leave at this point.
That boy's undefeated, bro.
I'm just gonna be real. Like, I'll be real. If Clay ends up walking, it was a great run. 4 championships, but it's over, man. It's a wrap. I'm sorry. It's time. It's time. I'm tired of it at this point, man. I'm like, you know what? Like, I get it, and I understand. You want to keep that core 3 guys together: Steph, Draymond, and Clay. Allow them to retire together or whatever it is. But it's hard to do that when you see Steph still playing at a high level, just dropped 60 the night before, and this team is struggling. I think some things have to give. I think that this team has to figure out how to continue to be contenders while Steph Curry is still playing at this high level. And right now, you can't do that with Draymond being in and out of the lineup because of suspension, or even Clay. I mean, I get it. Clay's situation is unfortunate, but at the end of the day, the production on the court has just not been there.
No, of course, I'll jump the gun a little bit sharing this. So we got the NBA Central saying the Wizards may be willing to move Tyus Jones for multiple second-round picks. And, of course, it goes on to say rival executives are indicating they're confident that the Washington will ultimately be willing to move on from Jones for a package of multiple second-round picks. Last year, trade deadline, blah, blah, blah. What do y'all feel on this here?
Go
ahead, Nick.
I was gonna say, I'm not mad at it. Trey Jones has shown himself as a backup point guard. Obviously playing those years, being behind Ja in Memphis. I'll just be real. I mean, the situation in Washington is just disgusting. So, if anything, put him in a better situation. So I'm not mad at it, honestly. A few second round picks for Washington, I'm sure it won't hurt them. This is a team that needs to go full rebuild mode, and I'll be real. I mean, if he can find his way on a playoff contender, I'd be happy with it.
Yeah, I know if he's a competitor, which I know he is, because he's had some really good seasons in his career. I know he's praying to go to a contender, bro. Yeah, it seems like a good deal. It seems like a good deal. A couple second round picks should definitely be the way for Tyus Jones. Quality backup could maybe start on teams depending on the team, but probably better in that second unit. Looking at teams, thinking about some teams that could use some quality guard play, contenders.
About Phoenix, maybe.
Yeah. Phoenix, definitely.
We ain't got no picks.
They don't have any second round picks?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, heck, we traded for Bill. We traded for KD.
I know you actually get at Chris Paul. You guys did. Didn't you guys get? No, you gave up. Oh. You gave up. That's right. Damn. In that build. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, listen. I mean, if they can make it work, I mean, it's a good piece. It's a good piece. You got a backup point guard. He could fill in, do some things, and those guys can, Booker and Beal. Those guys can rest for a little bit. In those spot minutes, he could come in and contribute. I think Miami, even though you guys just traded a first round pick for Terry, watching that game tonight against the Clippers, still need some more depth. And
Of course, Hero was out with migraines, which I can't stand that answer, but
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I can't knock that. I mean, that's a tricky thing. Migraine is definitely serious. But yeah, I think Tyus Jones, he'll fit on any contending team, man. I heard Davion Mitchell could be on the move too. I mean, they could do maybe a potential swap 3-team deal. I think a guy like Tyus Jones would probably fit what Sacramento does in terms of running gun and things like that. Come second unit. So I think he's a quality piece, and we'll see where he gets picked up. We'll see who picks him up.
Let's see. I think I got another clip or another graphic for us. Hang on 1 second. Yes, here we go. It's a two-parter. Did it pull up? Nope. Go ahead and get that, CJ, if you don't care.
Yeah, so this is Killian Hayes. His big name. Reportedly his team, his camp. Everybody has a camp and team now. But they're unhappy. He wants out. This was I think he was the 7th pick in that 2020 draft. Out of France, young guy, high upside. I think the Spurs is perfect because let me tell you something, man. Those guys over there, and I like Trey Jones, Tyus Jones' brother.
He's a playmaker.
He's not a playmaker. And did you guys see the end of that game between the Pelicans and the Spurs?
I did not.
Oh my goodness! I should have bookmarked that clip, man. But just long story short, they're down 1. It's 114, 113. 3 seconds left. Vassell gets the ball at the top of the key. Wembanyama sets a screen. He splits the screen. Has his hands up. Easy. It's an easy lob pass over to a 7'4", demigod. You just throw it up to him, right? And what does Vassell do? He chucks up a 3. Contested 3. Game over. Pelicans win. After Zion on the other end to take the lead has a crazy layup on like 3 people. He had 35 in that game.
Wow.
Insane. It was a really good game. Pelicans came back. Spurs was up. But yeah, they need a playmaker. That's the moral of the point. The Spurs, they need a playmaker, and that's kind of what Killian was. That was kind of his calling card. He was coming out of France. It was kind of a playmaker. The shot obviously wasn't there. There's clearly a log jam at guard in Detroit. Once they brought in Cade and then they brought in Ivy, I was like, oh, I mean, this guy's out of here. I thought they would have moved him sooner. So yeah, I think it's definitely time for him to branch out, go somewhere else. We've seen guards go elsewhere and flourish. We hope that could be quickly. Obviously, over here in New York, you see Brunson leave Dallas and go to New York and obviously have a great career so far. So I think a fresh start for someone like Killian Hayes, who's still really young. I think he's like, 23, 24 years old. Going to a team with another French guy in Wembanyama. Maybe they could do something special over there in San Antonio. I think that'd be a good move for him.
So here's some what do you call it? I guess odds here on landing spots. San Antonio Spurs are the favorite to land Killian. As far as the NBA Central says, they have a plus 200. The Raptors are a plus 300. The Mavs are a plus 750. Jazz plus 750. The Bulls are 750. I guess that's overseas. There's a chance that maybe he goes overseas. We'll just leave it at that with some of the names on here as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, they already had one big France player in San Antonio. I'm sure Tony Parker's probably in the ear already with his camp saying, hey, this is what happened with me. This is what they'll probably do with you. It's a great organization, international-led team here. Now you got 2 guys with Wemby and Killian. So, yeah, I think it'd be a good fit.
Yes, sir.
This should have happened like 2-3 years ago. I'm just gonna be honest. I've been waiting for this to happen for a while. I know that there was moments where they tried a scenario of having Cade and Killian in the backcourt together, starting the backcourt together, and it just never panned out there. And obviously, you know, the Pistons are just not in a good position right now. So I think it's just time to find some other options for him elsewhere. I like the move in San Antonio. I think Wemby playing next to an elite playmaker would definitely, you know, help expand this game tremendously. There's other destinations as well. I remember even last year I was saying, you know, I would love Killian Hayes to play in Minnesota, but I want to say that was probably before they got Mike Conley, which, I mean, Mike Conley is a pretty good point guard, but, you know, with him playing next to guys like Cat, Gobert, and then Ant-Man would have been really great for him. So I don't know where his value is, Killian Hayes at least. I don't know where his value is right now, but I still feel like in the right situation, you know, he could be a very valuable point guard, whether it's being a starting point guard or even coming off the bench and providing a spark. So I think it's just all about the situation with him. And, you know, if he's in the right situation, I think it'll work out well for him.
All right, we'll move on over to where'd he go?
Oh, he must have disconnected or something.
Well, this is kind of his thing with the MVP ladder. So week 15 MVP ladder. There he is. Thank goodness.
Yeah, my
because we have to listen to who he picks before we can make our picks. So CJ,
I'm sitting out this week, man. I'm gonna listen to y'all's.
This is yours. Whoops.
All right, so
let me remove that.
My top 5 MVP ladder for week 15. Number 1, I got Donovan Mitchell.
Hey,
having a great, playing extremely well right now for this Cavs team. Like Michael said, they're third in the East. Number 2, I got Jokic, the triple double. I think yesterday or the other night, he's still always going to be in that discussion. Number 3, I got Brunson, just to knock. Took the L to the Lakers last night. Not really his fault per se. You know, guys, you know, obviously we're undermanned, but yeah, it was a tough one there. 4, I got Fox, De'Aaron Fox. Just had a 40-burger the other night. Really playing some great basketball. I think he's inspired by being snubbed from that All-Star game, so I think he's going to really start to kick up and you know, really take this team to another level and back to where they were last year. Maybe not the second seed, but, you know, just playing better. And I think his numbers are going to skyrocket for these next couple weeks. And then last but not least, I got SGA. I got SGA in there at 5 in my top 5. So a lot of guards. 4 guards, 1 big. Got to switch it up, man. I mean, I was looking at this NBA.com. I mean, they didn't even have Brunson in the top 15.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They didn't even have Brunson in the top 15.
Oh my God, these are supposed to be experts.
And they didn't. And I'm sorry. Last week they didn't have Brunson in the top 15. This week they had him 13, but he wasn't even in the top 10. They had Sabonis. I'm like, Sabonis over Brunson? Like, what do we watch? What are we watching here?
So that's my thing is, like, people, and I get it, it's all people's opinions, but it's like, come on, man. Like, you know, you gotta be realistic, man, with your opinions.
Well, and I like how CJ does his MVP. It's not for the whole year up to 15. It's highlighting week 15's best players, what you do with it too. And I mean, you do take into some consideration on there. So I like it because it's no one else is really doing it from week to week basis, basically. So I do agree with pretty much all you said. I mean, Donovan Mitchell has to be up in there. SGA, the way he's played, Fox again, this way he's played. So, I mean, you got to have some Kentucky guys in there. That's no bias whatsoever.
That's bias for Michael.
Yeah, I think the MVP is wide open this year, more so than it's ever been.
It is.
Especially with Embiid out.
And then the rule as well. Here. That's the thing.
Yeah. The Bucks aren't having I mean, their record is good, but as we see when we watch them play, they're not having a great season. Mm-hmm. People have Jokic fatigue. You know, he's already been back-to-back MVP. So
honestly, SGA? I think it's going to SGA. I really do. I really believe that's like a high possibility.
Why is it so quiet for Luka this year?
because
I mean, he's in my
one,
list.
one moment his team they'll score 35 points in the quarter, and then the next quarter they scored 18. It's listen, like they're still the same team they were back when they went to the conference finals, but less defense. So I mean, they just replaced Brunson with Kyrie, right? To fill that void, because obviously they fumbled that.
Yeah.
But they lost all their wing defenders in acquiring Kyrie. You lost DFS. You lost some of those other guys. So, and it's the way they play. They still play that same way, where it's just 1-4 flat. If they help in the gaps, Luka kicks it out. Like that's their offense. And then high pick and roll. If they collapse, Luka throws a lob to Lively. Like it's the same exact. And then ISO Luka, ISO Kyrie if all things fail in the shot clock. Like it's not really that complex. And then again, your two best players don't play defense, and then you don't have great defenders around your two best players. You're gonna be a middle. They're not middle of the pack, but come playoff time, they're gonna get exposed again. And Jason Kidd is gonna get packed up, in my opinion. So like Luka has the numbers. I mean, he's like 34, 33, 8 and 8. But and then we saw the 73-point game. But again, they don't. It's just as a collective. To me, do you think they're going to be think they get out the first round?
It depends on who they match up with, but
it depends on who they match up with. Let's say they match up with Minnesota, who you got?
I mean, I'm not ever going to count the Mavericks out because, I mean, heck, look what they've done in the playoffs.
But Dallas against Minnesota.
Who's defending those guys? If the Timberwolves play big, I might get. That's what I'm saying. If Cat plays like a big man and not a stretch four, if he just stands at the 3-point line in the playoff series, I got the Mavs.
I mean, I get it. You'll probably have that Cat Derek Lively matchup. Which is cool. I mean, Lively has kind of proved himself as a defender, kind of in a way for Dallas, but I would still take Minnesota personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes 7 because we've seen Minnesota inability to close games over the last few years. So even though they're the better team right now, come playoff time, they could obviously be shaky, and the Mavs do have 2 closers. So I think it goes 7, and I'd probably lean towards Dallas just because of that. They have 2 bona fide closers, all that could go off any given moment. Ant-Man could go off, but Cat doesn't play to his size, and I can't trust him in the playoffs because he doesn't play to his size.
So let's go ahead and switch over to this one, and this is who will MNC choose? Because we do have Luka in this, what we're kind of talking about. So for you podcasters, it is one's got to go, and it's Luka, Tatum, KD, and SGA.
Whew.
This one's tough.
This one is pretty tough. It's really tough. Oh my god.
Well, I think KD's a lock for me.
KD's a lock too. I would say Tatum's a lock too.
I mean, to me, SGA is the most consistent out of the other 3. It's not just points, but it's assists, rebounds, and everything.
I can't take Tatum out. I can't do it.
I think
it's tough.
Do what?
I think Luka's a lock. To me.
To me, Tatum is the one that's out.
Why? Explain why.
It would be, in my opinion, it would be between Luka and Tatum because KD's going to get his. He can always get the rebounds as well, and he can get
Tatum can get his too.
Well, just this. You asked me. Let me explain. And SGA is the ball is in his hand. He's ready to create constantly. He can get you 30. He can get you 10 assists too, and he plays good defense. Tatum and Luka, I don't feel like they play the best defense on this list. They can be very inconsistent, and they can be very streaky at times as well on either side of there. I mean, we're talking about a list of one person that's out, but these 4 guys are obviously great players. Like, it's not any disrespect to say
No, I
one's
get
out,
that.
but like, I mean,
Yeah, it's very close. It's very close, man. Man,
I'll say this: I feel like if people put SGA out, they are disrespecting him because
I don't think we're disrespecting him. I think it's you got to see him in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much when it comes
Got to
down
get
to.
now, and this is the first year where we'll see him in the playoffs coming up, right?
I agree.
We've
I
seen
agree
everybody.
with you, but we just got done saying that this is probably his year to win MVP. So how is he out of this list?
Yeah. I agree. I agree, and it's going to be tough. But we've also seen Tatum lead his team to the finals, and so like I said, it's tough. It's tough.
So who you guys got? I told mine. Tatum's out.
My one got to go. I probably. I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult, but I will have to say SGA right now.
Same
right?
here. Yeah, I gotta say
Just-
SGA. It is not
because,
a notch.
again, I got to factor in playoff success. I have to, and I haven't seen him step up in the playoffs yet. I haven't seen it. I've seen KD win Finals MVP. I've seen Luka take a team to the Western Conference Finals. I've seen Tatum take a team to the finals. If SGA does it this year, then yeah, bro. I mean, if he gets OKC to the Western Conference Finals, upsets one of these teams that we're talking about at the top of the show. Easily, because the game is there. We're not talking about the talent, so I got to factor in other things because all these guys are talented, and I got to factor in playoff success. And I know, obviously, you got your bias, bro. Is the only Kentucky guy here, but
No. This is this year, so like I can't weigh in the past stuff.
It's a little bit of bias. Come on. It's
I
a
think
little bit of bias.
Personally, I think it's disrespecting you guys because we're holding penalties against him for not being on good teams. Like we're saying playoffs. He's never been in the playoffs except for last year. It's a play-in when they were trying to tank. They couldn't tank because
They
they had
made
opportunity
it
to go to the
2020.
playoffs. Well, they had an opportunity to go to the playoffs last year, and they lost to the Pelicans
okay,
with
but
no
still,
Zion.
Lost to Minnesota.
So, but these teams though, SGA's teams are not been on those teams that are already up there at the high caliber. KD's never played on a team where he was not supposed to be the team to win it. Tatum has not been on the team where they were the underdogs in any of the playoffs games. Luka is Luka.
I'm gonna say like the majority of Luka and Dallas has not really been contenders like that.
That's why I didn't say that with him. I said he's Luka. So SGA, we're penalizing SGA because he's not been on a dominant team like these other players have, and saying that he can't be on this list because he's not been in the playoff run. Well, he's not been on a team that's been playoff caliber. So I mean, right now he is the front runner for MVP. You all agree?
He's up there,
yeah, definitely. I mean,
so
listen,
how is he the one that we're kicking off this list when we're saying pick him now?
Okay, but here's the thing: like, what are we basing it off of? Or are we basing it off of like
I would assume
their careers or just this season?
I would assume it would be this year. That's why you're cutting one.
I mean, Tatum in Boston, they have the best record in the league. I want to say so.
Yeah, he's the best player on the best team. So
yeah,
I mean,
you got. I mean, if you're gonna factor that in, then you got to talk about that.
I mean, I guess, but
I guess
I'm just saying he has okay. Let's put SGA on Boston, and let's put Tatum on OKC.
Okay.
Then does it change anything for you all?
Not necessarily.
Then that factor of the best team and the best player doesn't matter.
Now, I'll be real. Like, I don't now if SGA was on Boston, I don't know if they're the best team in the East, but they're definitely like top 3.
They're still better than Milwaukee. They're still better than Philly. They're the number 1 team in the East. They're stacked.
SGA with the Celtics. So you think they would have went to the finals last year?
No. I'm in this year. I'm not going past years. I am this year. SGA on Boston right now, they're still the best team in the East. And if you cut SGA with them on the Boston and the same record, then you can't say.
So you're saying Tatum on the Thunder right now is not the second team in the West?
I'm asking you if SGA is on the Celtics and the Thunder have Tatum, same records and everything. Do you cut Tatum here or do you cut SGA still? Because if you still cutting SGA, it's not the best player on the best team. It's just you're preferring Tatum over SGA.
Well, I mean, when I look at all four of these guys are talented, bro. And again, I gotta look at playoff success, man. I have to. So right now, because we seen like I'm not saying he was gonna end up I'm not saying he can end up this way, but we seen Harden win that regular season MVP, not step up in the playoffs. So it's like, would I take Harden over some? That's what I'm saying. So it's like, it's tough. I say right now, I would SGA would be out just off that, bro. Because talent alone, we've seen all these guys score 50, whatever, put up big points, but all three of those other guys have led their teams to playoff success, and SGA is en route to doing that right now. But I gotta see him. I got you. I gotta see him do it in the playoffs, bro. So you trust SGA in the playoffs over all these three guys right here?
See,
right? Because because you haven't seen it. You haven't seen it, and that's what I'm going off of, bro. I haven't seen him. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying it hasn't been done.
And that's fine. It's your pick. But I'm just saying, if SGA is on Boston's team and you still cut SGA, it's not that he's the best player on the best team. It's just because you want Tatum. And I'm not just saying you as in you, like I'm attacking you. Like you and Nick both were saying that. So, I mean, if you're cutting SGA and he's on Boston, then you're not keeping Tatum because it's the best player on that team. You prefer Tatum. Like, honestly, I figured KD might be one of your all's cuts because
I can't say that because KD's been the best player on that team. But KD's been the more consistent player on Phoenix. He's been available for the majority of their games. Booker's missed time, Beal has missed time. KD has been there for the majority of the time.
Booker's the best player. Booker's the best player on the Suns.
I think Booker is. Do you all?
I think right now, I'll probably. It's tough.
I would say so.
It's tough. But
I was surprised when you said that KD was a lock. I actually thought maybe one of y'all would cut him because technically he's kind of, I won't say past his prime like he's bad, but like he's not as good as he once was, but he's still very dominant.
Well, he's
averaging 28 right now. Like
he's got years. He's got so many years ahead of these guys. He's in year 18 or something like that, 17, 18, something like that.
He's averaging 28.
Right.
So it's very difficult. It's very difficult. That's what I'm saying. The only knock against the only thing I could say that separates everybody else would be the playoff success that we haven't seen yet.
There's only one guy here with a chip.
Because I could say SGA and then what if he doesn't play well in the playoffs? Then it'll be like, you say it'll take Tatum because Tatum stepped up in the playoffs and got his team to the finals. So right now he's having a great season, great first half of the season. Got to keep it up. MVP favorite right now.
The hatred for SGA in this room right now or in this stream.
It's not hate, bro. Because I asked you. I said.
How are you hating? We literally just said we got SGA possibly winning MVP.
I said.
Nick, you never said if you would cut SGA if he was on Boston or not.
So you think SGA would lead the Celtics to the finals?
Do what?
You think SGA would lead the Celtics to the finals?
Yes.
And you basing that off of what?
On his ability to play well and to lead the Thunder, who was supposed to be tanking last year, to a playoff run-ish. So let me know.
Who said they're supposed to be tanking?
Well, everybody knew they were tanking.
They got a good roster. I never had them tanking.
Oh, we all said at the beginning of last year that they were going to be tanking. Nah. Chet wasn't even playing, so we thought, well, they may try to make a push to make another big pick, and then SGA kept them from tanking.
Yeah,
you still had J-Dub, you had Josh Giddey and these guys. Throughout the season, they played really well. I'm
going to go get a clip for next week's episode to go ahead and prove the beginning of last year that we all said OKC would be tanking.
Yeah, definitely. After Chet got hurt, I was like, yeah, they're going to mail it in. Try to get another pick.
Thank you for being honest, CJ. Nikolai down here lying on us.
How am I going to remember? Those are like 100 episodes ago. I'm going to remember.
Because without Chet, we didn't think they would be anything.
I agree with that, but I didn't have them tanking.
They weren't. They're right. Like, I mean, you guys are saying the same thing. Like, they weren't going to be that bad because SGA is that good. So they ended up where they ended up because SGA is that good. So
by himself. So we'll do this one real quick.
Oh, that was from before. Like, who's gonna make the All-Star?
I thought so, but we can go ahead and do this real quick. Who do y'all think will replace these two?
Honestly, I think why do they keep having Derek White on here?
Yeah, bro, that Jimmy Butler graphic is nasty,
crazy, bro. It's disgusting.
That's your man. That's your man's, bro.
I like how every one of them's got like a stat going on, but then you got White that says they're 35-10.
Nasty work.
Can we please stop this narrative of him being an all-star? He is not an all-star. Please. Yeah. He's a great player. He's not an all-star.
Why are you talking so bad about Trae Young?
Trae Young is an all-star.
Yeah, Trae Young's going to make it. Trae Young and Porzingis. Jimmy Butler's not going to get in. He doesn't deserve to get in, man. It's true.
All right. I think that wraps our episode up since you guys will not have SGA on your all's list. That's who you want. So, guys, we're before midnight, so that's good, I guess. Sorry for the late start. We do have to take that into play. I think actually the show kind of went faster than what we think. It's just we were 30, 40 minutes starting because I had a fishbowl tank leak all over in my living room. So, yeah, that was interesting. But before we head off of here and say our goodbyes, where can everyone find you guys at?
Yes, sir. First and foremost, follow MNC Hoops on X, Instagram, subscribe to the YouTube channel, listen on any podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, you name it. Give us 5-star reviews. I believe that we are deserving of that. Follow myself at Nick Andre ATR on X. Follow For the Love of the Game and Love of TGB Ball. New episodes every Thursday. Be on the lookout for that. And that's about it.
Yes, sir. MSC Hoops everywhere. Follow us, guys. Thank you, guys. In the NFL, the Hard Count, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, covering all things football. The Super Bowl is Super Bowl week, and then obviously the Super Bowl on Sunday. So, my guy Anthony Conover and I, we're going to be breaking down the game, discussing that. We're giving out predictions, giving out top 5 Super Bowl moments. So look out for that.
That's the Hard Count. Picking?
What happened?
Can you tell us who you're picking already?
Gotta stay tuned, man. You gotta stay tuned. Check that out. Check that out on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, man. I'll make my predictions. Super Bowl 58.
You can follow me, MDLawson00, on pretty much all social platforms. Of course, right here at the bottom of my screen, you can see Linktree/MNC Hoops. Please go follow us everywhere. But definitely go follow us on YouTube. As you can see, we did not stream on Facebook today because apparently there's some issues going on there that we can't stream our own show on Facebook. So we're locked out of there at the moment. So please, everyone, be sure to go subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on that. You can also follow me on my other show. Here we go, at Cat's Chat. It's Cat Chat Pod. It's Everything Kentucky Sports Radio. Just a little invitation on this. Our episode on Wednesday, we're actually having Morehead State coach Preston. Went to college with him at Ellswood College. He's having a phenomenal year here in Kentucky. He's going to be our guest speaker or guest on this episode, and they will be playing a game on Thursday that will be on ESPN Plus. So that's kind of cool that we get to kind of pep up that game a little bit before they take on that. They actually lost to 1 point against Indiana this year, so I mean they're a really good team. There is a graphic out that had order of Kentucky basketball as far as college ranks. It was Kentucky number 1, Morehead State number 2. Then it had Eastern Kentucky, Murray State, I think, and then Louisville. Like, it's kind of just depressing how Louisville basketball is going on right now. But thank you all for joining us on our MNC Hoops podcast, our show that we do here covering all things NBA. We hope you guys have a wonderful week. And until next time, keep hooping.
See you guys next week. Hopefully
this is